right, this time it should be working. I hope you like this song.
It's great.
Never gets old.
I do.
Never gets old.
How about now? You guys,
here we
everybody hears
go.
now? There we go.
Hey, we're back.
What's up, Kevin the Raider Nerd? All right. There's that good-looking fella again there.
God, he's so good looking. Ridiculously good looking.
And humble as shit, too.
Ron.
What did Ron say?
He said, rumor has it while they were muted, they actually talked about the Raiders.
You know better than that, Ron.
Nope, we actually talked about cannolis.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah, right. All right, we got the chat up. Microphone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. All right, we're set. Sheesh. This is why we need a producer around here.
Wear a lot of hats, Murph. Got mad
I
respect
know, right?
for you, brother.
Thank you, man.
Mad respect.
Is that Bomber or Zeke?
It's Zeke.
I do it on our show,
just
so
a
I know
joke.
it. I know what you have to do.
Oh my gosh, it's great. And of course, it always goes nuts right as you go live.
Yeah. We have one guy that always, his stuff's never right.
Come here, Zekers.
Zeke!
Want to say hi? Say hi, buddy.
Look at that guy.
Welcome to Raiders Fan Radio.
Yeah.
Samir White's the best. All right, we appreciate you joining us for episode 279 of Raiders Fan Radio.
Jackpot, baby. Raiders Fan Radio.
Oakland, L.A., Oakland, Vegas, Raider Nation, wherever, forever. You got your old Uncle Mosh and Raiders Fan Radio from Murph's Man Cave, taking a lighter journey into the dark side. Sit back, put your feet up, pop a top, and enjoy the ride. Here we go!
Look left, look right, select the top, a leaping top, touchdown!
We miss you, we love you, and we'll see you in the Hall of Fame.
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing: just win, baby.
Way up the middle, intercepted Filipiano at the 50, high running down, Oakland football, and I think Oakland victory.
The Oakland Raiders have scored on the most zany, unbelievable, absolutely impossible dream of a play. Well, I love this team. I think this team can win. I think this team can win.
You are listening live to Raiders Fan Radio, hosted by Murph, Uncle Mosh, and Swag Jeff. Take it away, guys.
Why, thank you, Brett Musburger. What is up, Raider Nation? Appreciate you joining us tonight live at Murph's Fan Cave for episode number 279 of this little show that we do called Raiders Fan Radio, where occasionally we talk about the Raiders and sometimes we talk about buttholes.
Sometimes.
I'm all for it.
Hell. Only 10 to 15% of the time, though, that we talk about that. But anyways, we appreciate you joining us here for this episode of Raiders Fan Radio. Got a packed house tonight and cannot wait to introduce everybody in our 4-man booth tonight. And we got so much to get to talk about our favorite football team, for the most part, which is the Raiders. And though we're starting to get into the offseason, there's still plenty of Raider news to get out there and talk to you all about. And so appreciate you joining us for this episode of 279. $279. If you're new to the show, we appreciate you joining us from either the YouTubes at youtube.com/Raiders Fan Radio, or if you're joining us on the audio version of the podcast, which you can find us on any audio podcast service. And we just ask you one favor, if you would do us a solid and hit the like, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe, write a review, tell your friends about us. Anything you can do to help promote Raiders Fan Radio, we would be very appreciative of. And the reason we ask you for that is that we give all of our money away around here to what we have formed the nonprofit of the One Nation Foundation, which we give to all Raiders-related charities. And so whether that's advertising opportunities we get, direct donations, whatever that is, we give all that money away. So if you would just do us a favor, please, and just hit that button. Even if for those of you that can't contribute monetarily to the foundation, man, just help promote this show, and then that'll take care of it. So, and all that is incredibly, incredibly valuable. So we appreciate you for doing that. All right. So as I mentioned, we've got a full fan cave tonight. So first, let me go ahead and turn it over to my best friend's best friend and yours. That is, of course, the woman that adorns the southern annex of the western annex of the Murph's fan cave desk, the one and only Michelle Sweat. Hey!
Hey, it just feels like it's been I know it's just been a week or 2 weeks. It feels like it's been an eternity since I've been in the fan cave, so it feels good to be back.
Well, the last time you were here, we got the snot kicked out of us by the Chiefs.
Yeah,
so
I probably just forgot about that, wiped it from my brain. So
sorry to bring that up. I'm sorry to bring up old shit.
God, don't bring it up again.
My bad. Yeah.
But listen, okay, so y'all are gonna be really excited. You're in for a treat because to my right is QB Jeff, he's going to bring it tonight. So he's going to give you all the information you want to hear. So
what's up, QB Jeff? Welcome to the podcast.
Glad to be here. Glad to be back. It's been a while since, I think the Fannies was the last time.
I know. Wow. It's been a hot minute. So you are adorning the eastern annex of the southern annex of the western annex of the Murph's fan cave desk.
I'm holding it down.
Holding it down, man. We appreciate you joining us tonight.
Appreciate you having me, as always.
Jeff's always got a great sense of takes, not only your Raider takes, and you've got a long history of Raider takes, but also your insight on college football. Yeah. And tell us why you have such a great insight to college football.
Yeah, well, I played quarterback at Middle Tennessee State University here in Murfreesboro. And then some of me and my former teammates started a podcast a couple years back. And we cover the Group of Five college football conferences. So we're a Group of Five guys. You can find us at Group of Five Guys on any of the social medias, groupof5guys.com. And we cover, the MAC, the American, Mountain West, Conference USA, all the Group of Five football conferences and what's going on, because in our opinion they don't get enough love. I mean, there's good football being played all over the country in college football, and not enough's being talked about those guys. And I mean, Devontae Adams, Max Crosby's just a couple of our Raiders that are Group of Five guys. So, and we got the draft coming up before long. So there's going to be a lot of sleepers in this draft we need to keep our eye out for.
Absolutely. And Meek Robertson is
absolutely. We got a lot of them.
Let's see. So Meek, so it was funny.
Louisiana Tech, I believe.
Yeah, they were rival MTSU, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, there's guys all over the place, and I think you can find, and we'll get into it later, but a lot of steals in the draft and later rounds on guys that people just kind of overlook because they don't think they play anybody. So.
And you and your team, your Group of Five guys, you're going to be down at the Senior Bowl this year.
We will be. We'll be down at the Senior Bowl February 2nd through the 5th. So we'll be able to get a close view and interview as many players as we can. And then our own defense coordinator is going to be there. Found that out today. Man. So be able to, hopefully, if I can, I'm going to try and get an interview with him. Ask him what the hell is going on this past season.
That's a great question.
What are you doing?
I appreciate you having me, Murph.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Great to have you back on, Jeff. And of course, also, as you can see there in his logo there, the proprietor of the great Domenico's Italian Deli, where that's the official fuel of Raiders Fan Radio around here.
That's right.
Absolutely. So it's funny. So how Google does the timelines or whatever, where you can look to see where you've gone the most.
Yeah.
So I got my Google timeline for 2022. My house, the gym, and number 3 was Domenico's Italian Deli.
Nice.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's awesome.
You keep building those credits, Murph. You're going to have a stake in the business for long.
That's my goal. I do a silent partnership, not takeover, because I couldn't do it any better than you do. So I'll just be a silent partner there. Absolutely. All right. So we got 4 people in the booth tonight, and we are so thankful for all of our guests. So newcomer to Raiders Fan Radio, you've heard us talk about him quite a bit because he is now the guy. Everybody's got you have a good money guy. You got a good numbers
Yeah.
guy,
Yeah.
right? When you have an official foundation, official nonprofit like we do, you have somebody that knows what the hell they're doing, not some dopey idiot that talks about the Raiders and buttholes in his bonus room, right? You got to have somebody that really for real knows what they're doing. And so this guy reached out to us. Gosh, it's been a hot minute ago now. Got in touch through the Silver and Black Today show due to our buddy Scott Gilbranson. And not only did he offer up to be to help us with our money management of the nonprofit, but also has really jumped in. He's now part of the board of directors for the One Nation Foundation and has been an awesome resource for us. Just his ideas, the actions that he's taken already within the One Nation Foundation and the things he does to promote Raiders Fan Radio. But seriously, like I could pontificate about this guy for a hot minute. Has done an incredible job, and we are so thankful to welcome for the first time our good friend CPA Joel.
Yeah.
What's up, brother?
Nothing much. How about you guys?
Good, man. So how does it feel to adorn the microphone for the first time?
It's good. I was getting a little vertigo as you were naming off parts of the assets. You'll probably learn why accountants aren't on-air talent most of the time. But no, I'm pleased to be here. This is under better circumstances than when I left last time I was at the house. So.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well,
yeah.
you're here for that illustrious Chiefs loss, weren't you?
Yeah, that was brutal.
That was pretty brutal. So speaking of the One Nation Foundation, so we are really amping up the fundraising this year, and we've talked about it for a hot minute now on this show about the things that we're going to do to drive funds into the One Nation Foundation, of course, and give to the Blitnikoffs and any other Raiders related charities along the way. And you've got an item there in front of you, Joel, that let's go and show that thing off and talk about it, because you were a key component in us attaining a lot of the signatures that are on that football.
Yeah, so this is a bespoke custom Raiders piece of paraphernalia here. It has 3 Super Bowl MVP signatures, all 3 of them obviously Raiders, along with several other Raiders famous players, Lincoln Kennedy, Rod Martin. It's got Shooter McGavin, the actor. I don't even know his real name, so I just call him Shooter.
Christopher McDonald.
There we go, Christopher McDonald. This was gotten when we were at the Blitnikoff Foundation dinner. There are 2 of these balls. They are awesome. Do you want to announce the?
Go for it.
Okay.
Do it. Yeah.
So these are going to be bid on. These aren't going to just be super chat bids, but these are going to be bid on. We'll get into the details of how you can submit those bids. Minimum reserve is $2,500 because this is really one of the few times in your lives you're going to be able to own a piece of Raiders history that has all of this legacy in one spot.
It's a one of 2.
Yeah,
We've got 2 of them. Michelle's got the other one over there.
No other ones like it.
That's it. And it's it's a completely unique piece because like Joel said, you got all 3 Raiders Super Bowl MVPs, plus the Raiders all-time sack leader, plus freaking, the hitman George Atkinson, plus the stalwart left tackle Lincoln Kennedy, and Shooter McGavin. So it's literally nothing else. A completely unique piece. So yeah. So if you feel so inclined and you've got the funds and want to drop us an offer that's above $2,500 or right at it, we're going to start there. Send it to show. That's SHOW at RaidersFanRadio.com, and we're just going to take the highest bidder. We did this with a Will Compton signed jersey and had a phenomenal response by doing it this way. So we're going to start off like this. If not, we might think about doing maybe an auction house or some other things. But we really want to get this money to drive the foundation, because that's at a minimum, that's $5,000 sitting right here that we can get for the foundation. And look, if you look at other pieces that are signed by all 3 Super Bowl MVPs, they kind of start at 2 and work their way up. So it's really I think a fair offer to start off with, and we would really love to see it go to one of our listeners and somebody that knows us and is familiar with our show. But hey, listen, if you know somebody that's got the means and wants a unique piece like that, then definitely let them know. And because again, we're looking to generate as much money as possible for the foundation. So we appreciate you.
And the coolest part about it, guys, is if you get this ball or the other ball, you actually have the interview with Fred Blitnikoff that you can reference when you show people, hey, look how awesome, look at how awesome this is. This is where that's from. This is what he's working on. So you not only can feel good about yourself by having something really cool and can brag on your friends and family, but then you can also be like, yeah, and it went to a great cause, so I'm a better person than you.
Well put. But you're right. Like, you could watch our video with our interviews and you could see these guys going through our line, signing those balls, this jersey that's hanging up behind me. Like, you can see it all happen live. So it's a very, very unique piece. So anyways, we appreciate you, those of you that are considering that, and everybody from not only that to $2 donations in the chat to anybody that just thumbs up a video, man. We appreciate you and your support of the One Nation Foundation. All right, let me go ahead and hit some contact information, and then we're going to go ahead and actually, no, we're going to do before that. I can always see Jeff's not here, so I'm out of sorts on this thing. We're going to talk about our episode number. That's episode number 279 of Raiders Fan Radio. And when Jeff is here, and he's not able to be here, he's at home with the babies tonight. He's got some sick babies, and so we wish them well. Yes. Ollie and Charlie, we're thinking about you and hope you all get to feeling better. So Jeff takes our episode number and ties it back to something significant within Raider Nation, and this is, as we mentioned, episode 279. So for 279, we've got this for you. In 1967, Rod Sherman, wide receiver for your Oakland Raiders, returned 12 kickoffs that year, and he returned them for 279 yards.
Nice.
So here we go. So we appreciate you, Swag Jeff. So here we go. We're going to hit some contact info, and then we're going to jump into some respect.
Woo! Woo! Hey, Raider Nation! You got your old Uncle Mosh here with an updated contact info. So sit up, zip up, shut up, and pay attention. You can call us at 909-345-3346, or as Murph would say it,
909-345-3346.
How about emailing me? You want to email me? Hey. Email me at show@RaidersFanRadio.com.
Careful, Gamash, your Italian is showing.
Or what about reaching out to us on some of that social media stuff Swaggy likes? Try Facebook at Raiders Fan Radio Podcast. The Twit at Twitter at Raiders Fan Radio. Insta something. Instagram at Raiders Fan Radio. The tiki-tiki-taki-talk. TikTok at Raiders Fan Radio. Or what about the Twitch? Some of you out there twitching. Anyway, Twitch at Raiders Fan Radio. Or if you don't like that, go to the YouTube. America, go to the YouTube. YouTube.com/Raiders Fan Radio. Oh my God, if that wasn't enough, go to your podcast provider and search Raiders Fan Radio. Holy crap, that was a lot.
Good. Not bad, not bad, not bad.
That was pretty good.
That was okay. That was okay.
That's all right. A couple fill-ins, I think.
I was just going to say, we got new chemistry going
worse.
on. You know what I mean? Not bad, not bad. All right, we'll take it.
Yes.
You're not going to go undefeated in your first season. No. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you got to give the offense time to work, right, Creepy Jeff?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no one's going to go out and go to the Super Bowl year one.
Oh.
Unless you're Matt Stafford or Tom Brady. But I mean, whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever. All right. So I appreciate you joining us. So as I mentioned here at the top of the show, we like to give a little bit of respect. We don't do props. We don't do shout outs. There's nothing wrong with those things, but we're Italian, so we like to give a little bit of respect. Respect. Oh, why isn't this loud? Wait. Hey, there it is. Let's start it again. There we go. Press the button, nerd.
Murph, Swaggy J, Nation, it's time for a little respect. You know, respect ain't bought, it ain't sold, it ain't demanded, it ain't negotiated, it's earned. And without blowing smoke or giving shameless plugs, we want to say salute and much respect to the following folks.
Appreciate you being here, Swag. No, what's your name? QB, Jeff. Sorry.
One too many edibles for Murph.
Too many Jeffs. Too many Jeffs. Oh my gosh, got a lot of Jeffs and one CPA.
Hey.
You know what's fun? I get comments on like Twitter and like emails and stuff all the time. People are like, "That's my favorite part of your show." I'm like, okay, good. I'm like, good, yeah.
Hey,
That's my
Son's favorite part. Let me shout out Swag's the new shirt that I got from TeePublic. You gonna show everybody? Look.
shit, I never
know which way to go. This thing. Can you see it?
Yeah, it looks great, man.
The new TeePublic.
All right. Yes.
I got the Budweiser one too, but I'll wear it next week.
The Budweiser one is
yeah.
cool. I like the Budweiser
Freaking
one.
awesome.
I hadn't seen that one. I got to check
Haven't seen that one? Yeah, it's legit. It's legit.
it is.
And so, yeah, if you want any Raiders fan radios, gosh dang, I cannot talk tonight. Any Raiders, I always call it smirch. Like
Smirch. Let's
swirch,
call
yeah.
it that.
Swag or merch, you can go to
I just
RaidersFanRadio.com.
invented a new word, Murph.
Yeah,
Swirch?
Swirch.
Swirch.
That's like swag merch.
Getting our swirch on?
Trademark it.
Quick, get to it before somebody accuses us of stealing their shit.
Yeah.
Hacks. Yeah. Anyway, so if you want any Swartz, then you can go to RaidersFanRadio.com/gear and hit the DADC tab there. Well, I guess we have to change that now. But hit that tab and I'll take you to our TeePublic site. And anything you buy there, 100% of the money goes to the One Nation Foundation. And that's a direct line, man. The TeePublic folks are great. And so any of that money that we get in kickbacks goes straight into the foundation account, man. And they are the best. Thank you, Christina and the good folks at TeePublic. All right, so I mentioned here at the top of the show, we like to give some respect. So we do a lot of goofy, silly things around here, but let's, I don't want to say get serious, but like this is a really feel-good story. And we're not going to go through the entire audio here because it's about 5 minutes long. But after we get through this, I would encourage you go to the Fox, I think it's Fox 5 Vegas, and they have it the full video on their Twitter profile. And it is an incredibly heartwarming story about a young man who had a lot of health challenges early in life. He's 10 years old. His name is Jeremiah, and he goes by Jeremiah 1 and 5. And he's got a great story. And so despite these challenges and these things that he's had from birth, he's fought through them, and he's not only excelled and like this was, and you'll hear a little bit in the video here, this young man was not expected to talk. He was not expected to walk. He was not expected to do many, many things. And yet here he is at 10 years old and he's thriving, and he's thriving to the point to where he got the attention of the local Fox channel and the Raiders. And he got to fulfill his dream of being a sportscaster. And so if you saw the video from the Raiders, you saw this young man interviewing Davante Adams on the sideline. Well, so the Fox 5 Vegas, they kind of tell the story that like led into this. So I got two parts for you. And basically one is like the opening of it from them. So let's go ahead and check in with that.
You may have already seen him interviewing Davante Adams, but this young viral sensation known as Jeremiah 1 and 5 has captured the attention and the hearts of more than just Raider Nation.
How did he make it to the sidelines? You might not know this. It was all made possible by a letter written straight to the Fox 5 Surprise Squad.
I wanted to nominate Jeremiah. He wasn't supposed to talk, walk, hear, any of that. So Jeremiah started doing YouTube. He does sports broadcasting on the Raiders.
Intercepted by Harmon. This is his second interception of the season. He could go all the way.
Raider Nation, let's go.
So Jeremiah thinks he's been invited to tour at Fox 5 Studios, but that's not all.
All right, so there you hear young Jeremiah. So the reason he chose his name is Jeremiah 1 and 5 is that's the Bible passage that says I knitted you in the womb and knew you before you were born. All that. So because again he wasn't expected to be able to do anything, and that like his mother had like multiple strokes. Like it was, it's this incredible story. Anyway, so watch the whole thing. But here's my favorite part. So the kid, so they're like basically, so they bring him in the studio and they're introducing him to like the sports anchors and like the news anchors, and he's going nuts. Like for every, like he recognizes like every single one of these folks. Then they bring in the Raiderettes, and then they bring in Daniel Carlson. This little dude, like I'm getting chills talking about it. It was so, I was like, oh, he takes off. Daniel Carlson's a big dude, man, right? This kid leaps into the air and like flies into Daniel Carlson's arms at like eye level. Oh. Like dude looks like Michael Jordan launching from the freaking free throw line. It's an absolutely heartwarming moment. So I've got that for you. Let's listen to it.
Financially, I know that there's not enough income there. I just think it's time that they get a little bit of a break.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Jeremiah 1 and 5. We have some fans who want to meet you. Sports director Kevin Bollinger.
Hello.
Sports anchor Vince Sapienza. And with the Fox 5 Surprise Squad, Faven K.
Oh my God. Monica's here.
We are huge fans. We've all watched your YouTube videos. Lorraine, what has your and Jeremiah's journey been like?
Well, where do I begin? I mean, I'm a 3-time stroke survivor. So they was thinking just the birth itself, I wouldn't make it through it. And I had 3 dreams of this little kid calling me mom, and I was like, that is so weird. I can't have kids. It was of Jeremiah's favorite scriptures is Jeremiah 1:5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. These are not our children. They belong to God.
God knew that I had a legacy and a destiny that I had to fulfill, so he wanted to keep me alive for a couple extra years.
We actually have some more fans that want to meet
This
you.
is the best.
The Raiderettes and Las Vegas Raiders kicker.
What's up, buddy? How you doing? We're so honored to hang out with y'all today. Jeremiah, because you are such an amazing young man, we would love to invite you as our honored guest to a Las Vegas Raiders game. And we would love for you to hang out on the sideline before the game, get to do an interview with some of the players. Does that sound good? Yes!
All right, there we go. So there's young Jeremiah, man. So good. And,
good.
there's a lot of talk already in the chat room tonight, people going back and forth about Mark Davis. And there's been a lot of talk going back and forth all forever. But really this past week about Derek Carr and whatnot. And these are the things, to me, these are my favorite Raider things because these things are indisputable. You can think what you want about the way that the Raiders are run on the field. You can think what you want about the way they're run in terms of coaching and all that kind of stuff. But these are the things that the Raider organization does that sets them apart from every other organization in sports. There are endless tales like this, and we really like to lean into it in the off season because I think these things really it kind of pulls into perspective, at least for me as a fan, what's really important.
Yeah, I think it's so cool too because when you think about he just loves the Raiders. He doesn't understand all of the shit that we
great call out.
Go back and forth with, and he just loves the Raiders. He loves football. And there's something so precious about that. I know we all probably were little, and just it was so cool sitting with your dad or whatever watching football, or your mom watching football, and it's just so heartwarming to see it in real time, and not have to recollect it from your childhood or whatever. It's just I don't know. It's just these are the stories that kind of bring you back down, and you think, oh, okay, this is what it's about. This is what makes this so special.
Absolutely. And so, and all of us are parents and you guys are both parents of young folks. What's it been like for you, bringing Ronan along as the Raider with this whole Raider thing already?
Yeah, for me, I was born into it as well. I haven't actually seen the Raiders, climb the tallest mountain. I've never been alive for the Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
So, born into it from my father and his dad before him. So for us, it is a family tradition. My father passed right before my son Ronan was born, and so this is something that I get to live out with my dad and my son because he doesn't get to be grandpa to him. So Ronan has learned to. Not boo as much, but he goes stinky. What do you think of Josh McDaniels' play calling? Stinky, daddy. What do you think of Derek Carr's passing? Stinky, daddy. And then he looks at other football games. He'll watch college ball, and he'll be like, "Are the Raiders playing?" I was like, "No." He's like, "I don't want to watch it."
That's great.
So it's starting young because it's tough being a Raiders fan, guys. Go Raiders.
You got to get them in young because otherwise they may not be a fan, right, QB Jeff?
No, absolutely, and that's all my kids have really known is watching. As far as the NFL level is the Raiders, and as far as college goes, obviously I played for the Blue Raiders.
Yeah.
So my kids are Blue Raider fans, but just being able to share that with my son and just seeing stuff like this, I mean that's what it's all about. Because kids like that and just kids in general, he's going to remember that for the rest of his life. And we don't know. I mean, who knows how long that kid has?
Yeah.
And I mean, all of us in general, but especially a kid that has all those issues. Man, as much as we hate, me personally, I don't hate anybody, but dislike Mark Davis and the decisions he makes and this and that and the defense, the offense, that's to me what it's about. That's what life's about right there, making memories for kids like that, and he'll remember that forever.
Absolutely.
And on top of that, good news, Big Shane, Raider Nation for Life. Thank you for the donation, man. That was
awesome.
Big Shane. Let's go.
I wanted to make sure that the numbers guys got to make sure the numbers
Hit
are
the applause over there, Joel, if you got the applause button there. So Big Shane, there we go. Big Shane dropping a $99.99 in the chat. He says, good evening, RFR. Love y'all. A Raider Nation for life. Absolutely, brother. We can't thank you enough for that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And 100% of that money goes to our nonprofit, the One Nation Foundation, where we give to Raiders-related charities like the Bolitnikoffs. And so thank you very, very much for that. And, man, that's awesome. Big Shane has been a huge supporter of not only this show, but of the foundation for a while now. And we can't thank him. We don't get to what we did this last year to that $10,000 donation to the Bolitnikoffs that weren't for Big Shane. So thank you. And thank you to all of you, as you know. But and I always say, like, if I sat around and thanked everybody that was responsible for it, we'd just do 3-hour shows of me thanking people. So, but we appreciate you very, very much. All right, I got one more bit of respect to get to, and then we're going to go ahead and let's see. We're going to hit. So, do you see the ones that say ID over there, Joel?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I get done with this story, just hit an ID. So, but not yet. But okay, yeah. Don't touch it now. Don't push the damn button. Okay, but yeah, in a second. So anyway, we're gonna give a little bit of respect, and then we're gonna jump into the Sea of Pendejos because we found a couple this week. But before we get to that, so we're finished respect, and let's go ahead and give some respect to Josh Jacobs for receiving the Craig Long Award for 2023. Yeah. So congratulations to Josh Jacobs and much respect. So here's what I didn't know what this was. I'd never heard the Craig Long Award, and you would think for as long as we've been Raider fans around here and stuff, you would think we would know these things, but I didn't. And so anyways, if it's, I hope maybe it's new to you as well. So Josh receives this 9th annual Craig Long Award, chosen by a select group of local media and facilitated by the Raiders Media Relations Department. The Craig Long Award is presented annually to the player that best exemplifies professionalism and collaboration with the media at large. Josh Jacobs totaled, as we know, 1,653 yards on the ground in 2022. Shout out Swag Jeff in his absence here for calling that shot. Swag is like, that dude's going to set a record this year with all the offensive weapons that we have down the field. Anyways, he joins Marcus Allen and Clem Daniels as the only 3 players in franchise history to win a league rushing title. His rushing total is the second highest in franchise history behind Marcus Allen, who ran for 1,759 in 1985. He also led the league with 93 rushing first downs, 2,053 total yards from scrimmage, and was named to his second career Pro Bowl. So Craig Long passed away in 2007 at the age of 36. He was a valuable member of the Raiders public relations staff from 97 to 04. He was a native of Iowa and fulfilled his lifelong childhood dream of working in the front office for his favorite team, the Raiders. So here's a complete list of Craig Long Award winners. So Antonio Smith from 2014. Of course, the legendary Charles Woodson in 2015. Donald Penn won it in 16. Jalen Richard won it in 17. Frosty Rucker wins it in 18. Darren Waller went back-to-back in 19 and 20. Max Crosby wins it last year. And then Josh Jacobs wins it this year. So congratulations and much respect to Josh Jacobs.
Hey, Raider Nation, this is Max Crosby from the Oakland Raiders.
Perfect.
And goes down, and Max Crosby, who forced a fumble last week.
You're listening to Murph, Mosh, and Swag Jeff on Raiders Fan Radio. Thank you so much. Just win, baby.
Pendejo. 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 Pendejo.
That's my favorite one.
Pendejo.
All right, so here we go. So here's the Sea of Pendejos. So we had, I forget who it was, dang it. I should have had on top of my head. So we were talking about somebody that was being a knucklehead during the course of the week, and someone in our YouTube comments said, that ought to be a segment. We got to call it the Sea of Pendejos. Well, so anyway, so every once in a while, we don't do it every week, but every once in a while, we want to highlight somebody that's been a pendejo. And I've got 2 of them for you, okay? So I got 2 of them for you. So here, it's really tough to find pendejos. All you got to do is go to Twitter, though.
Yeah. No, man.
All over the place. All over the place,
they should just call it pendejos. Like Twitter.
So I put up a post and this week of basically it was our reaction video when Cleveland Farrell got drafted, and it's me and Mosh and Aaron the Q-Dog Raider, and we're all standing there in the rain in downtown Nashville. Cleve Farrell gets announced. We're all expecting Josh Allen, like we're all expecting like some play. And they announced Cleveland Farrell. So there was basically, you hear like a gasp in the crowd, and then the looks on our face are like, what the heck? And then even Uncle Mosh, God bless him, he goes, who? And so I said, Cleve Farrell out of Clemson. And he goes, Was he there? So anyway, it's a pretty funny video. So I posted that up there for the comic relief, which is what we do around here, right? Well, here comes your pendejo, Carl Cancel Me Anderson. Carl says, the Raiders have had one number 1 pick since 1962. Raiders have drafted top 5 only a handful of times since then. Yet people like you forget history and are solely focused on what happened 4 years ago. I'm like, okay, all right. I'm hooked, right? Enough to hook me. And I wrote solely focused with laughing faces. I said, bro, I'm going to be 50 years old this year. I've turned the calendar on this Raider thing a few times. And he writes back, what does your age have to do with it? Other than the fact that you're 50 and still unable to act like an adult over sports entertainment. You people like to be miserable. You're quick to bitch and moan at any time you don't get results you think you deserve. Hashtag entitled children.
Whoa.
Shots fired.
Right? So I write back, all it means is I've seen this Raiders team do a lot of different things over a lot of different years. One snapshot of that history doesn't define anything. It was just a funny moment. Now I regret responding to you and go back to being a blast at party, sunshine. And then I hit him with the take it easy, Francis freaking gift. But I'm like, what is... Michelle, we and I talk about Twitter a lot.
Man.
Help me understand. I get if you disagree or you're like, no, I like the Cleve Farrell pick. Like, okay. Sure. I'm not going to dispute it, but why is it that people go from 0 to pissed off or 0 to hate or 0 to what is it? It drives me, I don't understand it.
I wish I had an answer for you. I do not have an answer. Twitter seems like this special place, because you don't see it. I mean, you do see it probably on Facebook comments and I see it on TikTok comments and stuff, but man, there's something about Twitter that just gives people way more audacity than they should ever have on the planet. I wish I could go into those people's houses and see them face to face.
Because if we're in a sports bar hanging out,
exactly.
You're not coming at somebody like that.
No, there's no way you're going to say that to me. We're probably going to have just a regular conversation about it, and you're going to give me your opinion that might be different. But man, you're not going to be that aggressive to my face, not for long. You won't.
Do you guys get this on your Group of 5 stuff ever?
Oh, all the time.
Do you really?
All the time. Anytime we put anything out, they're like, "You guys are a bunch of idiots. You don't even know." I'm just like, but that's just how people are on Twitter, man. What is it? The rule of absolutes, right, Murph?
Yeah.
All or nothing.
That's all.
And that's what it is. Where's your evidence, though? If you're against your reaction to Cleve Farrell now, so where's your evidence to back up your other that he was worth it? You don't have it because it's clearly not there in the stat book for that guy.
No.
So what was the hashtag? Entitled what?
Entitled children, Joel.
I got to give him at least a moral victory on at least being self-aware enough to put his tag. What is cancel me? Yeah, nobody wants to talk to you, freaking loser. You're out here on Twitter
Keyboard
raging.
warrior.
Dude, what are you doing? Come on, get a life. Stop ranting at people who are having fun.
All right,
you got to piss in people's Wheaties, man.
Absolutely, or pooping the Pop-Tarts, as I say. You know what I mean? Come on, man. It's we're just having a good time, man. It's we don't. This is still look, so you could attest this better than anybody, QB Jeff. It's a kid's game, right? It should be fun. And even though you have adults playing this kid's game, and I love it, and as we do, all we do, but as we do, whatever the hell it is. But you know what I'm saying though? Why? I don't understand why people go so serious with it. It should be fun, right? For a guy that actually played it for real.
Well, I hate to say it, Murph, but most of these people that are on there have nothing to do with their life, and that is their life. Their computer or their phone is that is their platform to sound and feel important, because obviously they have no importance in their life. And I'm just glad that Facebook was pretty popular when I was playing, but Twitter wasn't quite there yet.
Okay.
I'm just glad because I didn't have to read any of them. I mean, I read the blogs on when I played, and I was screw these guys. They don't even know what's going on. But I couldn't imagine playing now with all the social media that's going on.
Can you imagine you throw one bad pass, you make one bad read, and Twitter's
Marv, I'll give you a perfect example. I forgot pepperoncinis on this guy's sandwich, and he goes on a Yelp and leaves me a review. It's the same people. They have nothing to do with their life. They want to come to my restaurant, have a sandwich, and they don't like it for whatever reason. They feel the need to go on there and trash my business. It's that's fine. Your opinion is great, but it's you got to understand, you're affecting my livelihood when you leave 1 stars because You didn't like the napkins or something? Like, what does that have to do with the sandwich, dude?
Oh my gosh.
It's terrible.
Oh my God. Hey, and for a guy that's been to your restaurant literally thousands of times, ask Google. Nobody's ever forgotten my pepperoncinis.
I appreciate it.
If you're ever in Middle Tennessee, check it out. It's awesome. Or you got another location in Alameda, right?
Yeah, Alameda, California. If you're in the Bay Area, go check them out. That's the mothership.
Yeah, the mothership.
Absolutely. All right. I got. You guys won't talk about the Raiders. I promise we will in a minute.
We said Raiders a couple times.
Fault, though. It's his fault. Blame him.
Yeah, it's the Pendejos' fault. Don't
That's
blame
right.
us for not talking about the Raiders. But yeah, we're gonna get to the Raiders. I promise. All right. So and we're gonna get to it in this next segment. But before we do that, we got one more to share with you. So this guy, listen. Here's the thing. Do I think this guy's a pendejo? Yes. But he also is funny. And so funny is funny. And sometimes you get in the crosshairs of a joke. But, listen, as goofy as we are around here, we can celebrate a good joke. And so let's check in with Southwest attendant guy as they're approaching Las Vegas.
Unfortunately, due to the storms that are going through Vegas, the Vegas Raiders Stadium has been turned into a tornado relief center for the next 36 hours. Yeah, apparently touchdowns rarely ever happen there.
Jeez. Wouldn't you just hate to be wearing silver and black? Actually, you know what? I'd take that back. I would love to be wearing silver and black and be on that damn flight.
100%. I'll tell you what, I'd hate to be a Southwest employee right about now because a couple weeks ago, there was just a shitstorm, and I was affected by it.
Yeah.
So let me be on a flight and an attendant say that. I'll get up out of my seat. I'll get ejected from the plane.
Yeah, Southwest and their cutesy things. I know people love it. I cannot stand it. I have a beef with Southwest. I hate that airline. Airline's terrible. I know. Hopefully they're not going to try and sponsor the podcast.
I was going to say, we got a potential sponsor. Don't ruin a potential sponsorship, Joel.
But not a fan. Southwest.
I love
figure out how boarding
I do
works.
too. I
Not
like
for what they
Southwest.
did to you.
They're
though.
normally pretty
But
good.
I've never, ever had, and one of my really good friends, she's a pilot for Southwest, so I really like Southwest, but and that's in case they want to sponsor us.
I'm a guest.
Good save, Michelle.
Yeah, listen to Michelle.
No, but I've always had good, especially like when we flew for the first time. Darius, our 28-year-old who has autism, they were so good to us when we flew. So, but also shit on them for what they did to you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that wasn't anybody. It wasn't any of the blue collar flight attendants or pilots.
Right?
That was at up top. They just mishandled the ball.
Boy, they did. Yeah, they did.
All right, here we go. Let's talk about the Raiders. Let's go ahead and check. I'm going to hit an ID here, and then we'll get into some of the news because some new shit has come to light.
Are ya fuckers? This is Captain Jack.
You're listening to the soothing sounds of Raiders Fan Radio with Murph, Uncle Mosh, and that wonderful gentleman, Swag Jeff.
What the fuck are you doing?
Hi, this is AJ Cole from the Las Vegas Raiders, and you're listening to Murph, Mosh, and Swag Jeff on Raiders Fan Radio. Just win, baby.
Always got those West Coast vibes.
Absolutely. That's Cousin Sonny's beats there, yeah.
Man, I've got certain information, all right? Certain things have come to light, and, given the nature of all this new shit, this could be a lot more complex. I mean, it might not be just such a simple, What
in God's holy name are you blathering about?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm blathering about. I've got information, man. New shit has come to light.
All right, so we got some new shit that has come to light. So, hey, this is kind of fun. Let's talk about the Raiders.
Yeah, let's do it.
So the schedule hasn't been released, but we do know who our opponents are going to be for next year, and we know where we're going to play them. So, of course, we got the Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos at home in Vegas, but also we got the Patriots again. We've got the Jets. We've got the Packers. Ooh, Aaron Rodgers revenge game. We've got the Vikings, we've got the Steelers, and then we've got the Giants. So that'll be interesting. So those are some fan bases that travel well. So, and we're going to talk a little bit about this whole takeover situation that's gone on with some of the fan bases here in a minute. But before we get to that, that's interesting to consider that, the divisional opponents aside, Patriots fans travel well. Jets fans pretty well. I mean, I went to a Jets game in Oakland, and there was like a smattering of Jets fans, but that was in Oakland, and that was 2011. So I don't know about. Did you ever go play the Jets?
No, I hadn't seen them or the Titans play the Jets, but I know a couple other teams I have seen on this list, and they travel very well.
Yeah, the Packers of course do. Vikings and the Steelers, man. Now, so and we're going to talk about it in a second. Again, well, actually, I'm going to save that. Let's put a pin in the Steelers, and let's come back to that. Away teams: Kansas City, Chargers, Broncos, Bears. Okay, interesting playing in Chicago. Then we got the Lions, that's going to be no cakewalk. Got the Dolphins, which is cool for us proximity wise. They're going to be right down the road, short flight, not a Southwest, or maybe if you sponsor us. Then we got the Bills. That's playing on the road, depending on what time of year. That could be real sketchy. And then, of course, we're going to be in the Dome against Indy. I know you've been to a game in Indy, Joel. Any of those other away games that pop out at you? Think about something that you might want to go to, because we don't have one in Tennessee this year.
Yeah.
So but Indy's not far. It's like 5 hours from us.
No, yeah, I'm going to the Colts game. Miami sounds fun. I've never been to that city. It looks like a fun place to take in a game. And you know what? If we're winning, that will cure all these traveling problems. And then
that's true.
We travel. I remember going to the Titans game in 2017 Raider Nation was there in force. It was awesome.
100%. All three of those games. We played them 3 years in a row back then. 16, 17, and 18, man, and we freaking took that place over. Absolutely. All right, so speaking of takeover, so here's really the bigger story. Is that I wanted because we really haven't dug into it, and I want to dig into it, and especially with QB Jeff here, who like me grew up at the Oakland Coliseum. You two, Michelle and Joel, you guys are LA Raider fans, so you kind of came up through the Los Angeles Raiders and the Coliseum down there. But something interesting about this whole takeover thing that's gone on, and so we're going to dig in on it. And I want to start off the conversation by listening to a call from your brother. Okay, so your brother, Animal Mother. So for those of you who don't know, Animal Mother is Joel's brother. He's still down there in LA, in Southern California, just outside of LA anyways. And I thought his call this week was on point. And I thought it was a great kickoff to this idea about not only other teams' fans coming in and taking over Allegiant Stadium, but this idea of like, what do we deserve? Because that was the big meme this week, right? Yeah. Was the guy at the game that held up the sign that said, "We deserve better." And Animal Mother, I think, really starts to bring up some interesting points about what we as fans deserve in this takeover situation.
What's up, Raiders Fan Radio? It's Animal Mother calling in from SoCal. I decided I was going to do a halftime call because I don't know if my sobriety or sanity will be present here at the end of this game. I know you guys are going to take the next week off. Well deserved. I've been rationing your show, the last show, to get me through my commute. But man, I heard Mark's real frustrated with the presence of other fans and in the stadium and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, like, what do you want us to do? Like, you have the most expensive tickets in the league, and you're not even playing competitive games. That's all we really want, at least right now. Like, I'll settle for that. Play competitive. You're getting blown out, dude. Like, yeah, people don't want to pay for that. They don't want to pay to go see that. It's frustrating. You've got a fan base that has gone through move after move, from Oakland to LA to Oakland, now to Vegas. And we stood by this team through thick and thin. And now you're frustrated with the fans? Well, Mark, we're frustrated with you. We're frustrated with the organization. Yeah, man, it is what it is. I hope the rest of this game is a little bit more competitive. We'll see. Maybe I'll call back in if things turn around. But yeah, we gotta fix it because it sucks. And maybe we're all like masochists, right? Because I'm still trying to figure out a way to work my finances to pay for season tickets next year. Because I'm a fan or an idiot or a little bit of both. I don't know. It's been a rough one. Love you guys. Love the show. Stay strong. Hang in there, guys. It'll get better. Maybe. Hopefully. We'll see. Go Raiders.
With an enthusiastic sign off there.
He did, in fact, not call back.
He did, in fact, not call back. Yeah.
Don't blame him.
Yeah. Well, I love it. He's like, we got to put that on a shirt. I'm either a fan or an idiot.
Yeah,
Go Raiders.
Maybe both.
There we go. I'm fan or maybe both. Yeah. All right. So let's go again. I want to throw it to you, QB Jeff, first, because again, like you grew up in Oakland, so or Alameda, but spent a lot of time in Oakland, of course, and you're around the corner from the freaking Oakland Coliseum. This idea that I've heard a lot on not just Twitter, but there's been the comments have been made about, well, this would have never happened in Oakland, that we would have never seen these takeovers. And my response to that was, yeah, but sometimes it did. And I'll never forget that game against the Steelers where we saw all those terrible towels waving in the stands in Oakland. I think there was a different spirit around opposing teams' fans when they came to Oakland. I've said this too. I'm not an advocate for violence. I'm not an advocate for negative behavior. That said, people acted different in Oakland
Big time.
when you were wearing another team's gear because there was something about the crowd that kept them in check, okay? So there's a brashness, I would say, with opposing teams' fans. The other thing that comes to mind is that at first, I was really down on this idea of like, wow, this is embarrassing. Like we're having false start penalties for home games and because it's so loud and like all these kind of things. But I think this might be a good thing. We know Mark Davis doesn't like to be embarrassed. I think this might be a catalyst for change. And now whatever that change is, I don't know. And your brother makes great points. Put a shit product on the field and charge us a whole bunch of money. Guess what? Raider fans aren't going to want to go. Yeah. Insert capitalism and people can sell their season tickets and make money. Like the formula is there for this stuff to continue to happen, but this might be enough to motivate Mark to do different. Anyways, all that being said, what are your thoughts kind of coming out of this on like the takeover? And then it's, the comment is, do we deserve better, but do we? Because we're the ones ultimately enabling this.
Well, as fans, we're always going to think we deserve better, right? But there's a lot to unpack, but let me start with okay. Oakland. And I don't know what year it was when you were there with the Steelers. Steelers, they travel well everywhere. They're about as good a fan base as the Raiders are, as when you're playing on the road. But yeah, there was a level of, I'll give you a perfect example. The last Raider home game, they were there in Oakland. I flew home, we went. It was like right around Christmas, the Titans were playing in Oakland. One of my best friends out here now came with me and like, he had his Titans jersey on, but he had a jacket over it. And like every time they scored, he would just kind of like sink down and give a little fist pump. And that was when A.J. Brown, they threw that touchdown. It was like 98 yards or something on the goal line, right? But like they wouldn't do that in Oakland. Very, very rare. But you also, it's Oakland's not a destination town. That's right. The other thing too, is Vegas is a destination town. It's easier to get to than flying all the way to the coast, right? There's so many more things you can do in Vegas as opposed to Oakland. And yeah, the product on the field has not been good, but this is a problem. This is a huge problem. You are now playing basically all road games. And I'm not convinced that once you start winning that it's going to fix that problem. You're never going to replicate what you had in Oakland. That is done. And you've essentially taken the identity out of the Raiders and you're building a new one in Vegas. So everyone that's expecting the identity of the old Raiders is gone, in my opinion. It's done. You don't have the same tailgate. You don't have the same atmosphere. You don't have the same grime. You don't have the same grit. You don't have the same piss troughs in the men's room. Those are gone.
And 3 feet of weed smoke over your head in the bathroom. Yeah.
They're gone. They're gone. So they're trying to build this whole new identity in Vegas, this whole new experience that doesn't fit all your old fans, which you've already priced out pretty much by your season tickets, that aren't going to travel from Oakland or LA, or the ones that will. And then you add on top of it the shitty product that we got. And it just starts from the top, in my opinion. Mark Davis is not a football guy. Al was, but Mark's not. And you can learn as much as you want from your father, but it doesn't seem like he's retained much, in my opinion.
Ooh.
So,
yeah.
And that's all the Davis family has. They're not an oil company or all these rich owners that like all they have is the Raiders. So they're not just spilling over with cash either to throw money at the problem that other owners have the ability to do. So I don't know necessarily what it is to fix it from an organizational standpoint. I hope Mark sells the team. That's my personal opinion.
Really?
Yeah. I hope, because he's just shown over and over again poor decision making in my
You think
opinion.
that would ever happen though?
No, I don't. I think
Okay.
he's too prideful to do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, and as we always say in our group chat, like F it, go Raiders. Like I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like I'm here for the ride. Good or bad. I'm like a married spouse, right? But there's just so much that you're trying to overcome in Vegas now. And Vegas, I think the odds makers, it's like a 3 to 4 point swing usually for the home team. And you've basically taken that away now. And 3 or 4 points in the NFL is a lot. Yeah. I mean, look how many games we lost by 1 or 2 points this year.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of that, and like you were alluding to the false starts, delay games, like that's embarrassing. That you're at home and you can't get the snap off because your crowd's too loud. So I don't necessarily know what it is to fix it. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer.
No, but let's get
move.
real about it, because I mean this is a real life thing that we're looking at. And listen, and this is not like, and here's why I think it's a very interesting discussion for us to have, is that a lot of the things that we talk about with the Raiders, I always say like, look, you can bitch about it, but what are you going to do? Like you can't do anything organizationally to change it. But here we are. This is an issue that we can impact, because guess what? If we stop paying for a shitty product, we stop repping their gear. We stop, like, that's where I say, like, when the sign goes up, it says we deserve better. And I ask the question back, well, do we? Because we're ultimately enabling this. And I'm not saying like you, Jeff, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to stop being a Raider fan. I'm not going to stop supporting the team. I'm not going to stop doing shows. I'm not going to stop buying gear. I'm not going to stop any of that stuff. That stuff it's in our blood. It's what we do. But we are effectively enabling it. And so let me ask you, CPA Joel, from a numbers perspective, like, because I've heard, like, okay, like Jeff said, fix the product on the field first and foremost. Winning cures everything. Things at a minimum start to change. Yeah, they may not switch overnight, but listen, we saw them play the Chargers last game of the season. Saw them walk off against the Chargers. And Michelle, remember, there weren't very many Charger fans there. No. That tailgate was the best I've ever seen.
There's not very many Charger fans.
Well, that's true. There's like 8 of them, and they don't travel well. Yeah.
Where's your 27-point lead, guys?
You
talking to us about blowing leads?
Fresh for me.
Talking about us about blowing leads?
Oh my gosh! But that tailgate was one of the best we'd ever seen in Vegas. Like,
that's good.
I know it's not Oakland, but it was as close as we have seen yet in that atmosphere. And that atmosphere was only generated because the team was at the precipice of winning a game and going to the playoffs. So I think that solves it. Is there anything from a business perspective? Is there any strategy that they could do from coupling tickets, or, can you even still do that with a secondary market? Like, what do you think? Is there anything the Raiders could do organizationally to control that whole takeover situation?
Yeah, I haven't looked into how the secondary market impacts revenue for teams in depth. But from my understanding, the reason why it goes to these secondary market websites is that they get a cut. The NFL charges a fee for secondary market sales. So they get a cut of secondary markets. So they're incentivized to have their PSL holders not only pay face value for the tickets, but then this markup on the resale, right? That goes right into the coffers as well as a revenue stream. And so I think Scott Gilbranson and Mo Moten, when I was listening to the Silver Black today, mentioned what the Chargers used to do, speak of the devil, right? Because they have no fans. When Raiders would go to town at Qualcomm, they bring all of Oakland with them, or LA, and so they would package tickets and say, hey, if you're a PSL holder and you're going to sell a ticket for an away game, if it's this game, it's going to be for 4 home games. You're going to sell half your season tickets. I want to know what the PSL occupancy rates are for our Raiders, right? I want to see who's actually bought those tickets, because when you go through some of the sites, they tell you who owns them. I'm looking at trusts that people are banking these things into. These are investments for these folks. These are not fans in some cases, right? You can see who's selling these tickets in some of these ticket websites. And if I've dimed you out, if you're listening and you have a trust and you don't go to any of the games, hey man, just think about it. Like, you can sell your PSL at a premium right now. Let fans who maybe want to go, or at least know people that want to go, like, it's your money, it's your asset. But if this keeps happening, Mark's going to reduce the value of your asset. This is my plea to you. He's getting embarrassed. He ultimately owns the product. He can control the PSL contract. If you guys keep selling it to away fans, he's going to start putting a bunch of linchpins into the agreement that is going to make your asset less valuable. So from a business perspective, you want Raiders fans to go to Raiders games because the owner who controls your contract can change it.
Damn. There you go, CPA Joel. Nice job. That's what I'm talking about. Well, and Michelle, like our buddy Mojo, right? Season ticket holder. We know he sells a chunk of his tickets, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Capitalism at its finest, right? No one's ever going to tell you what to do with your money. But what he does do is he looks for Raiders fans to sell it, or like he'll reach out to people like with it, like he'll send me a text or make me call me and be like, hey, I got tickets to this game. Do you know anybody we could give them to? Or like there's been some games where he's been like, hey, we can't go. I don't even want anything for these. Do you know anybody that we could just give them to that are Raider fans, right? That goes a long way.
No, I think it goes a long way. But your question, do we deserve better? Hell yeah, we deserve better.
Okay, speak on that.
But the sad reality is, because Raider Nation's, our loyalty's unmatched. So yeah, we deserve better. The sad reality is there's money involved, like that's so how, obviously what you just said, Joel, kind of my brain was really trying to process it because there's a lot of money and numbers involved, but that makes freaking math. But it makes so much sense. But it's like, how do you get to a point where they're doing those things? Because how many times, Mark Davis, are you going to get embarrassed? Because that's where we're headed. And especially like I've looked, I can't afford tickets, like we've looked before. So
if we didn't have season ticket holders that we know that are willing to sell us tickets at face value, we'd never go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And how many times does he want to be embarrassed? Because it's just going to get worse. Because now people are seeing it and they're telling their friends and they're like, dude, we went to Vegas for this week. We need to go this week. And they're already planning. Now they saw these, home games. And those fans are already planning.
Yeah. Have you guys heard of like other teams when they have like playoff games where they say, hey, we're not going to sell tickets to this zip code? Like,
that's amazing.
Yeah, like I think the Titans did that during the playoffs. So they're like, hey, if you're in this zip code, we're not going to process the credit card transaction for tickets. And so
good for them.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
So again, PSL holders, if I'm Mark Davis and that's a Latitude, hey, you're not going to be able to do a resale to this zip code for this week.
Well, if it's not on the In-N-Out menu, Mark Davis doesn't know about it.
That's true.
That's the other problem.
We got to paste it up in that barbershop he drives to.
Yeah.
To get that
What
cut.
barbershop? There ain't no way he's going somewhere to get that done.
Pumpkin pie
Someone's
haircut
coming to his house and doing that. There is no damn way he's going into a barbershop and saying, this is what I want you to do.
Didn't
There's
he used
no
to drive
damn
from
way.
LA to the Bay? Like when the Raiders were down in Los Angeles, he'd drive his little like beat up vehicle up there.
Give me the Lloyd Christmas. That's what he goes.
Yeah, and make it worse. Like, God, that's terrible.
That's what, if I was up there in the front office, that's what I'd do. I'd be like, okay, Kansas City away game. Sorry, everybody in Missouri and Kansas, you're not getting tickets. If you're a Raiders fan in those locations,
make it harder.
Find a Raiders fan closer because you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
I'd rather the seats be empty. God's honest truth.
Right?
I'd rather they be empty and not have their fans.
Yeah, at least the seats are black.
Droning out our quarterback's cadence
Yeah.
than having them all there and packing it and making us look like idiots.
I agree.
You sold out the stadium. It's all sold out.
But
the seats will be empty. You sold all the tickets. Ban those zip codes. People will still show up. A lot of these fan bases are national that we have on the schedule for the home games. Yeah. So there's going to be other people closer, but take away those like diehard fans that live in the region and make it uncomfortable for them to try and get there. Where
make it harder. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, those tickets are already sold anyways, right? They're selling them.
That's what Joel's saying. The revenue's already done.
Yeah.
But the NFL gets their kickback from the secondary market, and so that's the thing.
That's some bullshit.
That's some
bullshit.
Heck yeah. That's like, hey, listen, what we always say around here. You want the answer.
That's right.
Get me to the end of the money, and then there's your damn answer right there. And that was great insight there, Joel, and great conversation from all of you on that. Appreciate that. And so, this is going to be an interesting thing going forward. Heck, you think it's going to be an interesting offseason on the field or in terms of the player personnel. The Raiders got some serious issues to tackle going into like what we're going to do in terms of the fan base as well. All right, let's go ahead and hit a break, and then let's jump into some of what the team has to say.
This is Trent Sig, and you're listening to Raiders Fan Radio with Murph, Swag Jeff, and Uncle Mosh. Just win, baby.
This is Raiders Fan Radio. I'm Brent Musburger, and I don't care who wins as long as it's the Raiders.
Hey, before we get into this next segment, Michelle, shout out the chat room. Who do we got going on in there?
Okay, all right. We got the Raider critiques in there. Kill Jadis, Mo Diesel. Maybe. I don't know. That's
Mo
new. I've
Diesel?
not seen it
Yeah,
yet.
let's go with that. Yeah.
Hardcore Raider. Paul's in there, of course.
Paul?
Hooligan Nation, Wyoming Raider. Ernie, that's new. I don't think I've seen Ernie in there. Has he been in there before? T3 Sports Guy. Oh, is that?
That's Tom. It's T-Hom, yeah.
T-Hom. J-Ray.
J-Ray? Oh, yeah.
Raider Chris is in there. Unholy Roller Raider. Oh,
Frankie?
Ooh, that's a long one. It's a long one. Raider Chris.
That's why I always just
Shane.
say Frankie.
Yeah, Frankie. That's good. That's good. A lot of people in there.
Hardcore's in there. Hammer's in there,
yeah.
man. Well, a lot of cool folks.
Yeah.
We appreciate you joining us for this episode of Raiders Fan Radio. Guareb is in there. Sinclair.
Oh, yeah.
Inclan. Yeah, Tyler is in there.
Mr.
Mr. Wilson.
Samoan Raider.
Hey, what's up, Samoan? Our good buddy Samoan Raider is in there. We appreciate you all very, very much. And
hey, real quick.
Yeah, please.
Big Shane, can you send me an email? I've been meaning, I just need to tell him real quick. Send me an email. He wants a ship. But I've not been able to get his email. So just send me an email.
Okay.
Michelle at RaidersFanRadio.com.
There you go. Michelle at RaidersFanRadio.com. And you can always send an email to show, SHOW, at RaidersFanRadio.com. And that will always get to us as well. So definitely hit us up. All right. So this is interesting. So we don't feature Broncos around here very often, but I do want to feature this guy. He is a guard for the Broncos. His name is Quinn. I'm going to go with Miners. It's Meinerz. I'm going to guess that's the pronunciation. Here's what's really interesting about his comments this last week. We all saw, to the Raiders' detriment, the ring around the rosy play that the Chiefs pulled off and absolutely punked our defense. Basically, they called their shot and they followed through, even though they scored a touchdown, even though I think there was a flag on it, and they just scored on the next play. Bottom line is that we were absolutely embarrassed in a game that was already completely embarrassing, let alone with all the Chiefs fans and their inbreeding going on in the stadium. But so it's like House of Dragon up in there, man. I swear to God, and you go to Missouri.
Don't disrespect House of the Dragon like that,
Murph. But anyway, so interestingly enough, none of the Raiders had anything to say about that moment. But I'm going to give respect to Quinn Miners, again, a Bronco, because this is what he had to say in their post game after the Broncos' last game of the season.
I said it before. I'm sick of losing to the Chiefs. That is like my number one goal that I'm looking at every day is I really want to beat them. I'm gonna say it because it's one on my chest. The fact that they did that little ring around a rosy play against the Raiders genuinely pissed me off, and I'm just excited for that day and for that moment, and that's one of the things that I'm preparing for going into next year.
All right. I want to pose this to you, QB Jeff.
That was a Bronco?
That was a Bronco. Yeah.
How
right?
far we've fallen.
Right? Okay. So someone in the chat room, let's see, it was Paul, said someone should have had the balls to chin one of them effers for that. I think former Raider versions of Raider teams, that's definitely the result that you get.
100%.
What do you think about not only that aspect of it, but the idea that the team themselves, was it the point where the season where they're just like, let's just get the hell out of here and go to the house for the season? Like, what is the reason that we have Broncos taking up for us, but the Raiders hadn't taken up for themselves? Is there a locker room thing? Is there a player thing that we should be privy to that you'd be aware of?
The only thing that I can think of is that they were told not to address it. That's the only thing I can think. But in my opinion, your season is done. Mm-hmm. Why would you not? You're going to let that happen? That's like in baseball when somebody gets thrown out in the head, and then the pitcher comes in the next innings and doinks the first guy.
Yeah, put one in your ribs.
Yeah, fastball, high and tight. You gotta have respect for your stadium, for your team, for your organization, everything, and for nobody to do anything. We're the Raiders, or we were. I thought, any of the old school guys would have late hit something. I mean, I'm not saying intentionally trying to hurt somebody, but you got to send a message and be like, hey, this ain't happening. Mm-hmm. Sorry, brother. Mahomes, you're going to get put on your ass, and I don't care if I get a 15-yarder and a $5,000, $10,000 fine. The organization should comp you for that.
Yeah, what, you're going to lose the game even worse?
Yeah, exactly. Your season's done. Yeah, your season's done. Why not? You just got punked. You got punked in the stands. You got punked in the field, all the way across. And and Andy Reid had to have okayed that.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Nothing happens under Andy Reid's watch. That's not okay. You got punked top to bottom.
Top to bottom.
How do you feel about it?
Michelle, do you think that was retaliatory for us driving a bus around
That's what
Arrowhead?
I told them when they did it. I said, "Oh, it's like they're driving the bus around the stadium." Like that's really what it felt like. QB Jeff, damn right, man. Why didn't somebody? I thought, man, take somebody out at the knee. Like I don't care. I do not sweep the leg. Like that's my move. Like do that. Like it was not just embarrassing for them on the field. Every fan at every bar or every house or every watch party or ever whatever, and there's a Chiefs fan, they were embarrassed too. Like shit. There were probably fights all over the country because the fan was more pissed than the players were. That was disrespectful as hell. I can't believe nobody didn't do something about it.
I was thinking about the bus circle, and I'm tired of all this cute crap going back and forth. And Yannick Ngakoue, right? You know, hey, good for you getting away from the team or whatever.
Miss that guy.
But
man,
he wanted to do that celebration on the Arrowhead, and so we've been doing stupid things that we can't back up. We go to Arrowhead.
That's it. We can't back up shit.
And you know
That's
what?
it.
They got to do it because they got to back it up. You know, like we beat them in Arrowhead with Gruden, and we did a loop around the stadium, which again, after the fact, it's not even to the players. It's like it just didn't make sense to me why we did that. And then okay, let's do it on the stadium and on the logo. And then okay, sure, back it up, dude. Play better, play better. And they got messed with. And you could see in the post game interviews after that one, Derek Carr was just like, I got to support my team. He didn't like it. He didn't like it. And then Yannick Ngakoue, he's got an attitude or something, but they cut ties with him this offseason. I'm just tired of seeing cute stuff that we can't back up. And then when it happens to us, people being able to back it up and then us not doing anything about it. It's just embarrassing. It's like it's taking the man card out of the players' hands.
And it's not even like these are the things that like, and this is what I think is tough for us. And I don't know if I could try to wrap my brain around it and encapsulate it. The things that defined the Raiders that we all love is toughness. It's edge. It's not even towing the line. It's going a little bit over.
Yeah.
It's, you know what I mean? It go all the way back to freaking Ben Davidson burying his head in Lenny Dawson's back. And you know what I mean? Like, and you think about like,
didn't Howie Long go into the visiting team's huddle because they had water and the water boy didn't make it out in time? He just walked up and took it.
Absolutely.
Like
that edge that like, no, we're going to control the game. We're going to dictate to you. Those things are long gone. And even when in the days when we weren't as competitive on the field, there's still like, I never forget Matt Millen. And it's for those of you that are like, they're like, oh, the Patriots, they're cheaters. Yeah, guess what? Guess who invented cheating in football? Right? Exactly.
Right.
And I'll never forget Matt Millen saying that there used to be a sign in the locker room in the Oakland Coliseum, and it said, rule number 1, cheating is encouraged. Rule number 2, see rule number 1. That's what we were all about. It was all about push. And even if it really weren't actually cheating, Al and John wanted you to think they were. Like, that's the real mind games that the Raiders used to get into, that they were playing games within the games. And that's one of the fascinating things about the Raiders. And again, what built the mystique and the things that we love about them. And that is completely evaporated. Now, listen, I'm not sitting here trying to be like old man telling you to get off my lawn. Oh, back in our day, it was this and that. Because guess what? If you start winning, fine. If it's going to look different, that's okay. I get it. I don't care. It's a different NFL. You can't touch the receivers the way that you know what I mean? Like our legendary secondary of the Soul Patrol could not play the way that they did back in the day in today's modern day NFL. I get it. Fred talked to us about, Michelle told us about the difference in practices and the different, George Atkinson talked about, a lot of the legends that we talked about how it's a different game. I get it. So it's a different game. That's fine. But win differently. Be effective differently, right?
But you can have an edge. And that's the difference is we have no edge. We're and I hate to say this, but we're fake tough guys is what we are right now. And they got to figure it out how to find it. But when the Baltimore Ravens in their heyday a few years back, receivers didn't want to go over the middle. And that was all well within the rules of the game at that time. Yeah. And I would say right now, people don't want to play, and as much as I don't care for them, San Francisco 49ers, people don't want to play that defense.
Right.
They hit hard. They fly around. They're nonstop. Like, we don't have that. And if we want to be a replication or something close to the Raiders of old, like people have to be like, man, I don't want to play that defense. And when's the last time we've had a good defense?
Wow, that's
over a decade at least.
At least
more.
that, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
because we had in Derek's tenure, the highest ranked defense we've had is 20.
I think it was 22.
Was it 22?
I
Okay.
think it was
Okay.
22
All right.
was his highest. So it's like, say what you want to say, but nobody's scared to play the Raiders.
When was the last time we had a bully on defense? Richard Seymour?
Maybe.
Like we had somebody that actually had edge to him.
Honestly, maybe Bill Romanowski when he had his little stint with us. Like, I don't know. It's been a while.
It's been a while. It's been a hot minute since we had somebody that actually drove that kind of edge.
I would say Perriman's close. Like, but he can't do it all himself. Like, Perriman flies around and lays wood.
Yeah.
But I can't remember anybody else since
Crosby needs help, but he's that guy for us.
But I feel like it's linebackers. We haven't had like a dominant linebacker. Like Kirk Morrison,
That's
maybe
100%. Kirk Morrison's the last time we had a super, because I remember, and of course, in their careers really went in different directions ultimately. But I remember him and Patrick Willis.
Yeah.
And I remember this because I always bring everything back to Madden during this time. But my brother and I would sit there because he's a big stupid Niner fan. The family gene mutated and he roots for the Niners. But we would sit there and play Madden and I'd use her Morrison and he'd use her Patrick Willis, and it was just like, but in real life, like that was a great freaking and of course, then Patrick Willis went on to just be an absolute all-world player. But point being, though, Jeff, I agree with you. And we had Thomas Howard, who was no slump, and then Robert Thomas as well. That was the last time we had a good linebacking core, too.
Yeah.
Where we didn't just have one guy. That's one of the things that I was encouraged by when we drafted Jonathan Abram, and I know he didn't work out, but he kind of had that. And I was like, ooh, this might be a guy that can bring us back to that hard hitting, recklessness, willing to take the extra shot. You know what I mean? I thought anyways.
He was just so bad in coverage. Yeah. That was his problem. He had the run stopping, but
the linebackers have gone down. Maybe you have the eye for it with the QB, but linebackers now seem like they need to be more adept at coverage.
Yeah.
And so they're slimming down, they're slower, they're not laying as much wood. I mean, yes, you have safeties that can crack people over the head, but again, with the protection rules that they're giving for receivers, right, and defensive players, I think linebackers are losing that edge because all the top tier defensive players that you hear about nowadays, they're all edge.
Yeah.
They're all edge
But you
players.
still got a Roquan Smith out there.
Yeah,
you still got Fred Warner. You still got
in the middle.
You know what I mean? You still
got to
some
have a
of those
guy in
guys.
the middle that can stop the run, but agree with you. Get out there and cover and zone and then chase running backs out of the backfield. And if you get a guy that can control the middle, we have at least one of the edges with Max Crosby.
Yeah.
So,
but we saw how ineffective he can be if we don't have the other one going too, because you can just double him up. Yeah. All right, let's jump to the other side of the ball and let's check in with Josh Jacobs. So of course we got a lot going on with Josh Jacobs. He's looking at being an unrestricted free agent, or is he? But first, before we talk about what the options are for the Raiders going into next season, let's go ahead and check in with him and ask him about his thoughts about coming back.
How do you want to be back next year, and do you feel like it's going to work out?
Obviously for me it got to make sense, but this is obviously where I want to be. Coming in, I remember sitting down, with Max and all these guys, and just talking about the Raiders organization and the culture, and want to be a part of the change, and I still feel that way. So hopefully I'll be back.
Of course, we heard some kind of pointed comments from you after the Steelers game. Did you ever waffle on that? Was there ever a moment, or was hey, maybe I should go somewhere else, see what I can do?
I feel like you always have them kind of them thoughts in your head. It wasn't enough thoughts for me to really take it seriously. It was just more so of me trying to get the guys to figure out what we need to do moving forward. I'm all about progression, even in life. And at times where I feel like I'm stagnated, I get, frustrated. So that's just the thing for me, just having the right group of guys together and everybody having the same common goal. And I feel like once we get that down, everything else will take care of itself.
All right, so I think ultimately the guy wants to stay, but you hear every player say that that's facing free agency, Michelle, right? You hear everybody say that, and somebody asked the question. I believe it's Mojo asked it later on. Originally, we were thinking the franchise tag for, I think I threw that one note away. Anyways, I think we originally were thinking the franchise tag for running backs was going to be $12 million. Well, it's dropped down. Now it's only $10 million. And really, and when you look at the open market, a guy like Josh Jacobs is probably going to get 17 or 18 million bucks. So Did you hear anything in there from Josh that you think that he'd, of course, if he gets a franchise tag, gets a franchise tag, and it's up to him whether he wants to play or not. He has no choice. Right. But did you hear anything from him that he doesn't want to return, or what do you hear there?
No, I mean, it's so hard to gauge because they have to be careful what they say. I mean, I guess he could be like, no, F this place, I'm going out of here.
Yeah.
I guess he could say that. But no, I mean, it sounds like he talked about the culture, and he talked about, speak with Max about, the team, and it sounded like he wants to be a Raider. I mean, obviously, I think it would be incredible to keep him as a Raider. But yeah, I mean, he sounded like he did, but that could also be lip service. He also did say, I'm paraphrasing, if it don't make money, it don't make sense. He didn't say that actually, but he did say something about it making sense.
Sure
so,
did.
I mean, that's obviously going to play into it too,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And financially, it's probably the best move for them. Would you not agree to franchise tag him? You could really franchise tag him twice.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, you franchise tag a running back when they win the rushing title if they're in their free agent year, because once could be a fluke. Granted, he's had multiple 1,000-yard seasons. He's a great running back. I mean, he gets praised from top defenders, right? Bosa's on there talking about how he's the best running back he's ever played against. So I think it just makes sense because they're injury prone, right? They don't have a long lifespan in the NFL. And I mean, you see teams that pay running backs. Do they turn that into wins often? Not really.
Not even for the Titans, and they gave Derrick Henry a bag. You know what I mean? QB Jeff, how important is it, considering that we're going to be bringing in a new quarterback, regardless if it's a KG vet or it's a high draft pick, whatever? We're going to be bringing in a new quarterback. How important is that to have a Josh Jacobs, or are we in like a plug and play scenario where you could have a Zamir White or whatever else just kind of step in?
I don't think we're in a plug and play situation. I think JJ is the real deal. I'm with Joel a little bit on longevity and his amount is, his yards after contact are insane.
It's like 800 or something.
Yeah, because our offensive line is terrible. So you can't plug
right.
another guy in there unless you address the offensive line. So I hope they go all offensive line, honestly, and defense in this draft, and I know we'll talk about a little bit of that later, but you got to address those problems. I think you do tag them because you don't want to invest a ton of money. I mean, I love Josh Jacobs. I think he's a complete back. I think he's a 3-down back. He can do everything you want. He seemed to be pretty darn durable, and when he's been banged up, that kid doesn't want to come out of the game.
Yeah.
And you can't, but he's also, a one play away from, and that's anybody, but, being done. So I think they'll tag him is what I think they'll do, and see, like you said, kind of see if he can replicate. I think he can, because if you actually block, imagine what the guy could do.
Yeah.
And you take all those extra hits off of him. But I don't know what they're going to do in the draft. I don't think anybody knows.
Or the first 3 weeks, if we had used him like he should have been used before Josh McDaniels realized what he had.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
They were shopping his ass. That's why he was playing the preseason. Absolutely.
Another bad decision.
This is Raiders Fan Radio. I'm Brent Musburger, and I don't care who wins as long as it's the Raiders.
All right. Hey, Hammer's in there, drops a $5 super chat, says, pay JJ, pay baby beast mode. Appreciate you, Hammer. Thank you, brother. We appreciate that very, very much. All right, so QB Jeff, I'm going to throw this back to you again because let's talk about some potential landing spots, not only for Derek Carr, but we have shared and, soapboxed our opinions around here about Derek Carr. I have said it a couple times now. I'm kind of done with it, but
I'm with you.
Okay. But I do want to hear your thought because, and I'm throwing this to you because we got a lot of comments in the chat and otherwise of people saying, I want to know what QB Jeff thinks. People really respect your take on this stuff, being that you're a former quarterback and just your experience in being in the team environment, your lifelong fandom with the Raiders. People want to get your take on it. So give us your take on the Derek thing, and then talk about what you think, where his next step is. And I think that's an important conversation to have because if there is one piece still left that's important to the Raiders, can we get something in return for the contract that we have in place to build some draft equity?
All right, so a lot to unpack there again. Let me just start with Derek
I'm not
Carr.
going to give you a softball, man.
Give me all these algebra questions. I was never good at math. No, so Derek Carr, I think I really like Derek Carr. I think find me another quarterback that has dealt with as much change, turmoil, everything he's had to deal with, from top picks not panning out to top picks being arrested. To moving cities, your team moving cities. I mean, he was the only constant, for a decade in the Raiders organization, and I think he deserves all the credit for that. Yeah, there was definitely things he could have done better, but your best defense was 22nd in the league. I think, and I haven't done the research on it, but find me a Super Bowl winning team that had a defense worse than 15th ranked in the league. I don't think there is one. If there is, there's maybe one or two.
Maybe like the Colts in 06 or something like that.
Maybe. That's an outlier, right?
Yeah, 100%.
You had a terrible defense. This year, your offensive line was terrible. Again, another new coordinator, new system. It's a completely different language. Again, you're learning a new language. Anybody that knows is bilingual, how difficult it is learning a new language. It's the same thing in football. Yeah, the concepts are the same, but you have different names, you have different motions, you have different this, different that. It's all difficult. That being said, you gotta come through, and he didn't. So I'm fine with that. He's gone. I don't know where he's gonna go. The Colts are out, is what the reports kind of said. Jets are still out there. Tampa may be out there, especially with Brady basically saying he's gone. I think he's kind of damaged goods. I think nobody's really gonna pay a lot for him or trade a lot for him. So I think the Raiders are gonna have to cut him before they have to pay him all that money. Just because he really hasn't proven enough to warrant. His stats were good. His stats were honestly top 10 in the league most seasons.
Yeah.
Despite having all this turmoil and craziness going on around him, I just don't think you're going to get much for him unless the team is just super desperate and has a lot to give up. But I don't think they would give that up for Derek Carr. So I don't necessarily don't know where he goes. Now, as far as the Raiders goes, I don't care who you put back there until you fix the offensive line and fix the defense. It doesn't matter who you put back there. You can put Lamar Jackson. You can put Aaron Rodgers. There's not a quarterback good enough to overcome that amount of deficiencies up front. And you're trying to outscore 30 points a game in the NFL? That's damn near impossible. It's not going to happen. Fix your defense. Fix your offensive line. And then, that's kind of the recipe now, right? San Francisco 49ers. Wow. Great defense, great offensive line, great weapons, Brock Purdy. And all he's doing, he's making plays when he has to, but most of the time he's just a point guard. Get it here, get in the right play.
Hand it to McCaffrey and watch him go.
That's it. And a lot of these teams are doing that. And that's kind of the recipe. A rookie quarterback or a guy on a young deal or somebody that's unproven with a fantastic defense, great offensive line up front, and you got skill guys that he can distribute the ball. Because when you pay these guys an astronomical amount of money, Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, you don't have money to go get the skill guys or go get the defensive players. That's just what it is. So I wish
that's the formula, man. There's a reason it's going to be freaking, I don't know, Jalen Hurts and Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? You look at the teams that are in the postseason. Rookie quarterbacks are team friendly deals because you're right. Those astronomical quarterback contracts are they're not working, and that's why ultimately that's what cost Derek Carr. And you mentioned a couple teams in there. So you got the Buccaneers. I think some other favorites are going to be the Saints, the Commanders, the Jets. The Titans, the Colts, we know, I think they're off the board now. But then the Panthers, and I think there's some friendly teams in there. I want to go to you, Joel, and I want to ask you about the numbers. But before we do that, I want to ask you, Michelle. This is not. I said I was going to talk about them. So, you've got the numbers handy, perfect, my man.
I knew you were going there.
So, not to make this a Derek. I think that it's undisputed that Derek has challenges in cold weather.
Right.
And he doesn't do well with a lot of media adversity, okay? Mm-hmm. So to me, I see New York, and I'm like, well,
that's both.
That's both. And you're playing Josh Allen twice a year, and the Dolphins, and you know what I mean, whatever the Patriots are going to do. But if you had to pick, so between the Bucks, the Saints, Commanders, Jets, Titans, Colts are out, Panthers, is there a market that's appealing to Derek? And as Jeff said too, the Raiders have to agree in principle to a trade before February 15th.
That's right.
It's
on the
3
corner.
days after the Super Bowl. So like this has to happen. So you're talking about one of these teams taking a big swing on Derek, but do you see a market fit for him in any of these?
Well, I mean, the cold weather, like I know there was a lot of like he can't play in cold weather, but was that him or was it the team? Like it could be chicken egg kind of thing.
Sure, sure.
But obviously I think him in Tampa would make sense because it's warm. He's not that he's coming from. I think doesn't he have somebody that maybe it isn't Tampa that he knows there, but I feel like that would be a landing spot for him because the Jets.
Oh, you're thinking of the Saints because Dennis Allen was his first
Saints,
coach.
Yeah. But the Jets seems like they would be so aggressively horrible. But I also think anywhere he goes, I think he's going to do well in the beginning, and then who knows where it goes from there because he'll either prove that he was the man or he'll prove that he was who we saw. Like, so I don't know as far as the best landing spot, I think, is whoever has the best offensive line and the best defense.
Well,
would be the best landing spot.
Well, Tampa had they had a questionable offensive line, but they also had a lot of injuries. But here's what's interesting about and this is where I would say that it's no surprise that there are 3 of the teams listed here are the Saints, the Buccaneers, and the Panthers. The team that won that division was 8-9.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We know Derek Carr can win 10 games.
Right, yeah.
We know, you know what I'm saying? So I'm with you, Michelle. I think that one of those, that's probably one of the sleepers because, but that said, the money's got to make sense, right, Joel? Because we know Derek Carr carries a hefty price tag. So you've got to have a team that's not only willing to pay him, even if they restructure his contract, now you're committing to him for 3 or more years. So, what do you see there in the numbers? Does anything, kind of reveal itself to make a lot of sense?
Yeah, and it's popping up in the chat. People are diming out the Buccaneers and the Saints on their cap numbers for 2023. They're at negative 54,
negative
negative 58 million. So I think the most likely scenario is Derek Carr gets cut because he had, David Carr speaking that he wants stability. That, or I would say as a dark horse contender, because I don't think they're going to pay Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, he's going to go to the Ravens. Because he was looking for stability. He's been getting criticism about East Coast time zones. If you watch the sermon, he's got chips on his shoulder, but he's not talking about those publicly. But Eastern time zone, always been critiqued. He can't play in the Eastern time zone. He can't play early games well. He can't play in cold weather. All right, go to an NFC North team in Baltimore. And then that's his fire to win. That's a franchise that has had, pretty good success in maintaining a higher level.
Great coach.
A higher level of success.
100%. And a great defense and a good running game always historically too, right?
So, and they have 28.9 in cap space.
So they could restructure him easily and take him on.
Exactly. I think the most likely scenario, he gets cut, and then I think he signs with the Ravens.
Picks him up.
Wow.
I do like the Jets. I do like the Jets. And I know people don't like the narrative, the New York media will spit them out,
and the fans.
But they have a similar really good defense, young running back, decent offense. I think he
good
has,
coach.
Yeah,
Robert Saleh.
They'd have to do some cap room based off the over the cap numbers, but obviously
I think Derek wants to play. I don't think he'll get traded unless I think
ultimately that's the big takeaway. I don't think he gets traded. I think he gets cut.
I think he'll take less because he wants to play.
He wants to play, right?
He wants to play.
And he's not a money guy.
No.
He's got enough money to build churches and do all the things he wants to do, right, Michelle? He's not going to lean into I got to get mine.
No, he wants to go where he is going to be able to prove to everybody that he is who he believes he is. Yeah, that's his goal. Money.
That ain't going to drive him. No, he's going to make plenty of money one way or the other.
Yeah.
All right, one more. So on the heels of that, hey, Derek Carr's gone. Now guess what? Now we got to have somebody come in and replace him. So the hot name around, whether you like it or not, is Tom Brady. And so let's check in with the Pat McAfee show. And here we hear Pat and Ian Rappaport talk about the possibility of Tom going to Vegas.
Is he done with Tampa? They lose tonight? You think this is the last game?
Well, they lost.
Yeah, they did. Ugly.
First, we need to know if he's playing. Now, my hunch, sort of inclination, is that he'll play at least one more year.
Oh, retiring. I thought you meant tonight.
Remember,
Blaine Gabbert starting tonight?
Last off season, he retired, and then he came back.
Yep. We heard about that.
Yeah, that was the thing. Now, it seems to be more leaning toward playing than retiring. The Bucs want him back, and I know he likes that situation. I know he likes the owners. So I would not rule them out. But the Raiders are an interesting thing, right? Like they got all of his old friends. They seem like a good team that would just drop in a quarterback. They also could do something very cool, which is draft a quarterback and have Tom Brady play 1 year.
Oh, Jimmy G.
And then, well, Jimmy G's a little bit younger though, so
No,
he's a little
Tom.
bit less of
Jimmy
like,
G was under Tom.
Yeah.
You can do
Right.
you can do the whole
tutelage.
Hey, this is how you
right
do it.
at a time in
McDaniels,
his
too.
career when Brady would like really help, you know.
Yeah, not just be uber competitive, locked in on trying to get better. Also, like, hey, this is how you operate in McDaniel's operation. Like, this is what we need to do. This is how it works. Could be a pretty cool little setup. You think that's a lock if it's not Tampa?
I don't think it's a lock, but because like there'll be some other teams where you're like, okay, like they're pretty good. They have quarterback questions. The Titans were interested last time. Maybe them. What about the Jets? He's got family in New York. They need a quarterback.
It's cold. He ain't never going cold. It's cold. I mean, it gets cold in the desert too, I guess.
He wouldn't do that to the New
He's
England.
not
No, but indoors.
Miami.
The stadium's indoors, right?
What,
It's
Vegas?
funny, like, yeah.
Yeah, stadium definitely inside.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I was thinking, Vegas is definitely a team to watch for Brady. I think it makes a lot of sense for everyone. But here's the other thing. You know, we always like to talk about how these guys are humans. Does he want to be that far away from his family?
We always like to act like these dudes are humans, you know?
Right.
Like,
No, no, it's real. You
what?
you guys are the show that treats these people like humans. That
These
is
people
something.
like
That is a
humans.
trait.
These people.
What do you mean?
These people. Rap, you are phenomenal. This show right here, you guys talk about these people like they are people. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Oh my gosh, Pat McAfee show.
I love
Show,
Pat
he's
McAfee.
the best, man. Did you guys watch? Sorry, just to sidetrack for a second. Did you watch any of the Pat McAfee broadcast during the college football playoffs?
Yeah.
Oh my god! First off, the one with the boy Taylor Lewan was great,
Oh,
but the one with the McAfee crew, that's a fun ass way to watch a football game. Did you watch those?
I didn't watch that. I watched a lot of the like the just morning show. What is it?
Oh,
the college football
Game Day.
kickoff. or
Oh
whatever,
yeah,
the
sure. He's
countdown.
on game day now.
Yeah, game day. That's what it is. College football game day. And I thought he was great on that. I mean, he brings that whole element of like sports entertainment.
Yeah.
Yes,
to that
100%.
show.
Yeah.
That
Did
is
you
great.
see it, Joel? Did you watch the broadcast?
I didn't watch after TCU got smoke checked by Georgia, but yeah, no, I have watched a little bit. I do know he almost got he got complaints. He got people wanted to fine him from the FCC for some of the things he said. If you need a good laugh, Raider Nation, check it out. Just Google Pat McAfee FCC complaints, and you'll see the clip. It is hilarious, and he defended it on his show. It is great, but yeah, he's a hilarious guy. I love the fact that a punter is becoming the most, the most entertaining person in the football world.
How about you? Did you watch it?
Well, we watched College Game Day, you know, like that's, and so just seeing him. But I did see clips of especially the Taylor Lewan. I think they posted some things.
That was
but yeah,
great.
I
Yeah.
just think
I
Pat
did see
McAfee's great for. He's just great at what he does.
He exudes the lightness of it,
Yeah.
right? And that's what it's all about. Is
Yeah.
it like, and that's why, you know, and I'm not going to call him one of the greats yet because there's still Rich Eisen and Dan Patrick walking around. But like the things that like when you see like Aaron Rodgers appear on Pat McAfee show, defenses are down.
Right.
And those are the ones that like the best interviewers, you know, Jim Rome is kind of like that back in the day. Like you have these athletes on and their defenses are down. Like, and
Right.
so people just say things like Rappaport's like on there and he's in like a beanie and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's not all, you see him all buttoned up on NFL Network on this thing. He's just like chopping it up with the fellas. So anyways, pretty cool stuff there. All right. So the more serious point though is around that is that the possibility of Brady going to the Raiders. And listen, whether you like it or not, because and you being the proverbial you of whoever you are that are listening to the sounds of our voices, whether you like it or not, Tom Brady didn't make the call. Walt Coleman did. So Tom Brady is not responsible for the Tuck rule. Okay. And so Al Davis famously said, just win, baby. And despite the idea that I know we're supposed to hate the Patriots and I don't have any love for them and I don't have any love for Tom Brady, but I didn't love Jerry Rice either until he wore silver and black. And then I had to root for his ass. I didn't love, you name it. Ronnie Lott, Tom Rathman, Romo, freaking
Warren Sapp after they beat us in the Super Bowl.
Thank you. I mean, it's an endless list. Richard Seymour. I mean, it's an endless list of guys that came out of other teams' uniforms. You know, we really can get, if you really want to get nitpicky about it, Willie Brown, one of the greatest Raiders of all time, was a Bronco. And guess what? Al Davis was a Charger. Okay. So like this whole idea of like your past, like informing your present in Raider Nation or in silver and black, I'm sorry. I don't care how much you hate Tom Brady. It's just win, baby. So if the guy can help us win more football games, that's all, frankly, I care about as a fan. I really genuinely don't care who it is. It could be Aaron Rodgers. It could be Tom Brady. It doesn't matter. And here's why. Listen to some of these numbers, Raider Nation. Over the last 20 seasons, the Raiders have had the second worst record in the NFL at 116 and 206. That's a 360 winning percentage. This is a team that once upon a time had the all-time win percentage in all of sports, higher than the Celtics, higher than the Yankees, higher than any other team in any other sport, have now dropped to 360 in the last 20 seasons. They've allowed the most points, 25.6, to your point, QB Jeff, get us a defense. But we also have scored the fourth fewest on offense with 19.6. So there's a reason that Tom Brady is being considered, despite the idea that it's Josh McDaniels, despite the idea that he's familiar with the offense and all those other things. There's a reason that the Raiders would consider this, because that is not going to happen with a Tom Brady. That's not going to happen with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we're going to go to the Super Bowl? I don't know. Be great if it did, but it's not it's not a guaranteed recipe for lack of success. And I know those teams finished behind their expectation, the Packers and the Buccaneers, but I don't think it was because of their quarterbacks. I think it was because of their teams. Now, does that mean that they're just going to immediately elevate the Raiders? Yeah, a little bit, but there's other things have to be elevated as well. All right, I want to go around the horn a little bit. So there's a lot of talk. I'm going to start off with you, QB Jeff. There's a lot of talk about the different scenarios. You got all these veterans on the table. All the guys that used to be Patriots, from Jacoby Brissett, Mac Jones, freaking Jimmy G, Tom Brady. You've also got Aaron Rodgers on the table. You've also got Lamar Jackson hitting free agency. You've got a lot of scenarios. Or it could just be like, you know what? We're going to roll with Stiddy and draft someone in the first round. Which one makes most sense to you out of all the freaking crazy things that are out there? Like, land the plane on one of them, or maybe two, that you think is not only beneficial for the Raiders, but likely for the Raiders.
The only thing that makes sense to me is, and I've said this earlier, is our biggest issues right now are offensive line and our defense. And until those two things get fixed, which I hope and pray they address in the draft and in the offseason free agency, it does not matter who's standing back there. It doesn't. Yeah, he might win you a couple more games. He's not going to take you to the Super Bowl. I think we're a couple years away. I think realistically, I don't like any of these QBs, the top ones, other than maybe like a Hendon Hooker, but he's even going to be a project because he doesn't have a ton of experience. And I think he'll be gone. And I don't think we should take a quarterback in the first couple rounds. I think we go offensive line. I don't think any of them are proven enough to be like, that's the guy. He has everything we need, and we cannot miss on another first round or second round. We have got to hit, and I think you have a better chance, better odds of hitting on an offensive lineman or somebody on defense in those top couple rounds than a quarterback. There are some other guys in the later rounds that I like as long-term projects that maybe pan out, but I wouldn't take a quarterback in the first 3 rounds. That's just me. I think if we do, it'll be the most Raider thing we do, and reach on a pick in the first or second round on a quarterback that is either fallen because other teams don't think he's the guy, or we take him in the first round. And all these guys are unproven. Pretty much every single one. And CJ Stroud's had a lot of time, but I just don't. I'm not a fan of that.
Ohio State quarterbacks, man. There's something about that.
Yep.
And I'm not a fan of him.
I mean, Kentucky's guy, Levi or whatever his name is, he's not had a ton of experience. I mean, Hooker's not had a ton of experience. He looked great, but NFL's a different animal, man. Yeah. And what are you going to draft him? And now where are you going to address the other problems you have on the O-line and defense? Let's go fix those other things. I'm fine with rolling with Stiddy. I like what he did in the last 2 games. Maybe let him roll at the beginning of the season, maybe draft or find somebody in free agency that you can bring in case he doesn't work. But you got a lot of other issues before anybody you put behind there. And I don't care if it's Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson. None of them are going to outscore 30 points a game. None of them. On a week in and week out basis, it's not going to happen.
So if we focus then in the offseason, say we focus on, we are going to focus on defense, but say best case scenario, we end up with a Marcus Peters and Jalen Ramsey are our starting corners, Nate Hobbs our slot. You know what I mean?
You get a linebacker late in the draft. I think there's some really good guys late in the draft that you could get at linebacker spot that'll pan out. You get some offensive linemen in there. If you can keep Josh Jacobs, you got all the skill guys you need. Now you're possibly looking at if you can somehow flip that I think they finished at 22nd in the league, our defense this year. At one point, they were 29th in the league. If you could flip them to maybe a top 15 defense, now you can run the ball. Now you just need a point guard at the quarterback position. You don't need a guy to do anything special. You need a Brock Purdy that can go through his reads, make things happen with his legs when things do break down, and just distribute the ball. And your defense will hold, if they can hold them to 16, 17 points a game, you got enough athletes with Adams and Jacobs and Waller and Renfro to score enough points. You just got to have the quarterback's got to have time, and play action's got to work.
So say that pans out, okay? And even if we just roll with the Jarrett Stidham, okay? In the latter rounds, though, the Raiders would likely draft a quarterback. All those, power five guys are going to be gone. So group of five expert. Who in the quarterback spots? Who's the guy from the Patriots got from right up the road?
Bailey Zappi.
Bailey Zappi
broke every record in college football.
There you go. Who's the Bailey Zappi there in the group of five?
I don't know if there's any Bailey Zappies, but Clayton Tune out of Houston, I really like him. He's a fifth-year senior. He's had a ton of experience. He's 6'3", 220, almost 4,000 yards this year, 37 touchdowns, 110 QBR rating. And I know we probably won't go this route, but I love Jake Haener out of Fresno State. I know he's another Fresno State guy, but he's great arm strength. He can anticipate the throws. He's under Jeff Tedford, who's a quarterback guru, who's at Cal for many years, who's now at Fresno State. I think either of those guys in the late round would be like a project sit for a couple of years type of guy. But if I had my shot at Clayton Tune, I'd take him. He's a little bigger. He can run as well, so it kind of gives you that little mobility, dual threat type of deal. I'd go with him if he's available in like a late round.
Okay. And then what about and then to switch to the other side of the ball in defense? You mentioned maybe a player there on defense, maybe a linebacker. Like you called it, who was the guy? Was it Will Mummy or what was the guy's name? Chad Muma.
Yeah, Chad Muma.
You called out Chad Muma on this show,
time.
and dude had a killer season this year.
Chad Muma's he's a dog, man. But I got a couple guys. Carlton Marshall. A lot of people never heard of him. Troy University.
Okay.
He won the Sun Belt last year. He broke the all-time tackling record in college football this year. And nobody talked about him. Nobody covered it on ESPN. He's a smaller guy, and we interviewed their head coach at Troy this year twice. He goes, I've been around college football a long time. It's the most instinctual linebacker I've ever been around, and it's from my time playing on defense and my time as a coach. So I love Carlton Marshall. He's going to the Senior Bowl, so we get to see him. And Dorian Williams out of Tulane, who beat USC this year in that bowl game, on the New Year's Day bowl game. He's a big guy, 6'2", 225. He had 85 tackles this year, 2 picks. He's another guy. If he's hanging around in the late rounds,
okay,
I'd go with either one of those guys if they're available and they're going to fit in and play ball right away.
All right, on. Good stuff there. Give it for QB Jeff, man. Good stuff, man. That's why we got to have the pros on around here, man.
Right, that's right.
All the rest of us around here frothing at the mouth on emotion. And this guy's actually, this is a good balance tonight, Michelle. We got the numbers guy, we got the analyst guy, and then you and I are like, rah, Raiders!
Yeah.
All right, so speaking of that, though, speaking of that rah, Raiders stuff that we do, like, who would you want to see? Like, if you had to just pick out of all these different scenarios and all the different veterans and all these different guys out there, what would you as a fan get behind? Are you the anti-Brady sort, or like what are you feeling?
I want whoever's going to get us to the Super Bowl. That's what I want, and I want it now. But the thing about Brady, one, because Jeff, you keep saying that like the offensive line and the defensive line, like why would Tom Brady come here with what we have? So that would be like a weird. And also too, I feel like he is become this like disgruntled old man that I don't.
True. That's when he's dangerous, though.
Yeah, well, it is
when he's pissed off.
But also too, I don't know that I want a quarterback that's gonna be, cussing people in their face. And I mean, I want a locker room quarterback. I don't want a guy that's just gonna be to himself because he's Tom Brady. Like I don't know what he just doesn't seem like on the sideline. Just doesn't seem like a good. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, he doesn't seem to lift players up. He now, at a point, he has, but now he just seems like a guy that's just playing football. Like, he just doesn't seem like he has, like he's lost something.
Okay.
Like some sort of fire. I don't know. And he's
kind of
still
got that
good.
Michael Jordan, era about him. And on the end of Michael Jordan's career, like, people didn't gravitate towards him as they did when he was
that's a good call
that's
out.
what it feels like. And so, no, not him. I'm not a big Aaron Rodgers fan, but if he can get us there, bring him in. I don't think there's anybody that I want, but I do think we need somebody young, because I think we have a lot to contend with in the AFC West. Like, shit, we have to keep up. I mean, Justin Herbert, whatever. I think he's good, but I mean, clearly
he's fine.
He's
he's
okay.
fine, as
But,
Jeff would say. Yeah, he's fine.
We have to play that frickin' Kermit, and whatever we bring in has to compete with that. So whoever the hell you can bring in that's going to compete with that, bring them in. That's my answer.
So to me, like when I hear that, I think, well, Lamar Jackson. I think like if a dream scenario, if money is not an issue.
Do you really think he's not going to be with the Ravens? Do you?
There's a lot of indicators that he could be gone. And listen, and these are always interesting conversations because a lot of it is fan driven and things like that. And the Ravens would be fools if they let him go.
Yeah.
But how much control are they going to have over it? Now, granted, he's got an injury history, but if you're talking about, like, if I think out of all these guys, in terms of the veterans,
right?
Because the drafted guys are unproven. We don't know, right? We don't know what the young guys are going to do. But for the guys that got tape, if I'm going twice a year against Kermit, and that's the bar, as we've talked about on this show, but that's the bar. Like, we're trying to beat the Chiefs. Like, forget everything else. We want to beat the Chiefs because until we can do that, we ain't winning the division.
Right.
And so we got to get that done. If I'm going to go toe to toe, if you give me a quarterback at all these guys to pick from, I'm picking freaking Lamar Jackson to be that guy. But the trick is, though, what's that guy? What would that actually cost dollars and cents? Granted, we're going to have like $60 million in cap room or something crazy. We're going to have a ton of money, but he's going to command a Mahomes style contract. Don't you think, Joel? Which is $500 million for crying out loud.
Yeah. He got in a little bit of trouble for getting into it with a fan who was criticizing paying him, telling the Ravens they shouldn't pay him, and he commented on them. I think cursed at him. So earlier in the season, that was this season. If you guys want to check that out, so he wants a bag. He wants to get paid. I don't think I personally don't think that's the move, given all the things that QB Jeff kind of referenced and what we need to address and what Raider Nation feels that we need to address. But yeah, it's a. Do we think that they're going to be an upgrade over what Stidham and Carr, right? Because we're letting go Carr, so they have in mind for an upgrade already based off the numbers of Carr's contract. Because they could have renegotiated the extension, right, with Carr and kept him around.
Yeah.
But they already decided no, it's not a culture fit, or it's not whatever it may be, right? So the numbers have to be there, and I don't think Lamar is going to be numbers wise. I don't think Aaron Rodgers, even though I think he would do it for the team, and it'd be in the script to have the Packers come to Vegas and him beat them with Devontae Adams when he complained with leaders, the front office there for so long, not getting him the tools to win. I think that's like a good scripted game if you buy into the conspiracy theories, as I know most of you in the chat do.
Yes.
A lot of it. There's a lot. I've heard more fixed games comments this year than ever. And I've always been quick to dismiss those because I'm like, the money's too big. Yeah. Like, there's too many things. But there's a lot of that stuff about whether it's the Raiders themselves scripting things to lead to Carr's failure, or the NFL and like all this stuff, which I still think a lot of that is nonsense. Yeah. But man, it sure has been a lot more talk this year than in years past.
Yeah, and that's another scripted thing, is why I think Brady is actually a fit for the Raiders, because it fits the script of like an epic end. His entire dynasty basically started on a lie, as my brother says, with the tuck rule. And if it ended hoisting a Lombardi trophy in Allegiant, right? The Super Bowl next year is in the stadium.
Yeah.
If that happens, I might start buying into these theories, these conspiracies. If that happens, I may have to jump the ship and just jump on in.
Well, because I said for like a long time, like a handful of times on this show, like, wouldn't it be poetic for the Raiders to beat the Buccaneers? We get revenge against Tom. We get revenge against the Buccaneers. We hoist the Lombardi trophy, right? Like the whole Tom Brady, you're sticking with that MRFer thing. Like, there would have been a lot of poetry for the Raiders to beat the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. But even more poetry for scripted NFL fan is Tom Brady actually the GOAT, coming over and winning number 8? Yeah. In a Raider uniform. Like, I'm with you, Michelle. Like, that might
That's
get my
full circle. Give me the tinfoil hat.
Yeah, I might be riding with Mikey.
Almost too good.
Absolutely. All right, good stuff there from everybody, and appreciate you, chat room. And hey, keep all the comments coming. During the show, it's hard for us to keep up with the chat, but I always go back and read the chat. So please keep all those comments coming in. We're going to jump in and do a real quick Raiders and pop culture, and then we're going to jump in and hear from you guys, because more of you and less of us is a good thing. And let's go ahead and hit this break, and then we're going to jump in. Wait, I already said that. Whatever. I'm just going to hit a damn break and stop talking.
Britannia, Britannia rules the waves. This is Keith Smith, the Crusader Raider, calling you from London, England. And you're listening to Raider Fan Radio. And we're in Murph's Cave, and I tell you, this is the only place you need to be. Go Raiders!
You're listening to The Violator, and I'm live on Raider Fan Radio. Where you at, baby?
All right, appreciate everybody that's in the chat room tonight. A bunch of our good friends are in there. 85 Raider Nation, Oakland fan is in there. Lee B is in there. Ron the Mater Raider is in there. Raider Dad is in there. Hardcore Raider, what's up, Hardcore? Paul is in there. Paul? Kill Jadis is in there. Connecticut Raider Ryan, that's a new name. Appreciate you. Ron, of course, holding it down. Christian Suarez is in there. Corey Fleck is in there. That's Raider Way in there. Lencho is in there. Big Tone is in there. Okie Raider is in there. Big Bass. What's up, Big Bass? Big Bass. Joshua Smith is in there. So many of our good friends are in there. And if you hear squeaking in the background, that's the dogs chewing on chew toys, squeaky chew toys. At first, I'm like, do we have an audio thing? And then I'm like, well, maybe somebody's chair. Like, where's Lamont? Is he sitting over there behind the bar, squeaking in his chair? No, it's Zeke over there chomping on a squeaky toy. But we appreciate you. Lee B is in there. So many of our good friends. Appreciate you very much. All right, so here's a real quick one. And so, listen, I've been to a lot of Raider games in my life. Never grew up in Oakland. Not grew up in Oakland, but grew up at the Oakland Coliseum anyways. Went to a bunch of games on the road. I've been, of course, to Allegiant Stadium a handful of times. Jeff, did you ever go see the Raiders in Los Angeles?
No, I didn't. All my games were at Oakland Coliseum.
Okay. Me neither. I never went to any games in Los Angeles. Two of you ever go? You guys are LA folks. Did you ever go? Okay. All right. So, but I've heard recently from a lot of our LA Raider folks how like they would say because the discussion around the fans taking over Allegiant. And, of course, and us folks that grew up going to Oakland games, we were like, yeah, whatever our point was on it. But then LA Raider fan is like, that shit sure as heck wouldn't have happened. And apparently going to the LA Coliseum back in the day during Raider games was really, really gnarly. And I wish that I would have had a chance to be able to go and see it firsthand. But anyways, so I'm going to trust all those folks and their opinion on it. But I set all that up to introduce you to this. And there's a comment in there. Oakland fan says you had season tickets at O.co. No, I never did. My family, we didn't have enough money to have season tickets to anything. We occasionally got to go to a game, and I went to a lot of A's games. I spent a lot of time out in the bleachers in right field at A's games.
Tuesdays, man. You get a $1 ticket on Tuesdays.
Absolutely. So I spent a lot of time. In fact, I went to a hell of a lot more A's games than I ever did Raider games. Not only because there's more of them, but yeah, my old man could take me out there for a couple bucks, and we could go to an A's game. But yeah, I saw the Warriors. My first concert was at the Oakland Coliseum Arena, like monster trucks and all the car shows. Man, I spent a lot of time at the Oakland Coliseum. But anyways. Back to this. Back to Los Angeles and back to this Raiders and pop culture. I forget who it was that sent this to us. I think it was Lalo Maloso. I've seen this movie, but it's been a long, long time ago. But so this is for this Raiders and pop culture. We're going to check in with Leslie Nielsen and the Naked Gun movie, the third one, which is Naked Gun 33 1/3, in which he disguises himself as an inmate and sneaks into this prison. And as he's walking through the prison yard, this is what he had to say.
I was surrounded by pimps, rapists, and murderers. It was like being in the stands at a Los Angeles Raiders game.
That's pretty good.
There we go. All right, so appreciate. I think it was Lencho, and I apologize, man. Whoever sent that to us, man, that was pretty fun. So let's go ahead and let's check in with this. Oh, you got some? Yeah, heck yeah, Joel, go for it.
Just one thing before
do it.
We go into the Sea of Fans, guys. As the numbers guy, I'd be remiss if I didn't make this plug. At one point, we had about 108 people in the chat. And I know this is a big ask for a lot of people, so ask your friends that might have a little bit more resources. But if we can get to the One Nation Foundation, anybody to subscribe to $5 monthly just for the next year, that would be everybody in the chat just finds one friend or does it themselves for $5 a month. that would raise $6,425.
Dude, let's go, Joel. That's what I'm talking about.
So little incremental impacts that you guys can do with your fandom to help the Blitnikoff Foundation, help One Nation Foundation spread out that Raiders love. We'd greatly appreciate it. And again, if you're, I know donating is really hard. If you can't, do us a huge solid. Share the show. If you're in an airport, if you're in a bus stop, or wherever you're at, and you're wearing the Raiders shield, find somebody else who's wearing it and say, "Hey, have you heard of Raiders Fan Radio?" and plug in the show. Because I mean, if we can get everybody who's in the chat to find one person to donate $5 a month to the One Nation Foundation, that's $6,500 pretty much right there.
Wow.
So it's really small potatoes that we can look at, and incremental things can make a huge difference. Because I mean, we talked about it after, or they talked about it after the dinner. The impact that they're making and what the One Nation Foundation does, it gets a marquee spot in the dinner. They bring up Murph and Swag on stage, and they have the check. It is huge for the Blitnikoff family and their foundation, because it does hit close to home. So if you really want to impact a Raiders legend's heart and their legacy, consider donating or asking somebody that you know if they'd be donating. I think my father-in-law is watching, so if you want to Roger up and start donating, I can help you with the subscription there. Okay, boss? So, hey, I just want to plug that.
Thank you, Joel.
Yeah, that's
Thank you, Joel.
fantastic.
We appreciate you.
There he is, baiting, looking. He's under the gun. He's tied, he's thrown. It is.
Hey, before we dig into the Sea Fans mailbag, I got to highlight some of these comments. The Raider Dad says the LA Coliseum was a scary neighborhood. Bars on all the windows. Javier Flores says we would take tortillas into the game and throw them like freebies or like frisbees, I guess he said. Yeah, that's awesome, man. 85 Raider Nation. Going to a game in LA was like going into a biker bar, and no, it's and no, it's not like going into some hipster bar. Man, that's awesome, man. We appreciate you all very, very much. Appreciate you, Oakland Raider fan, man. Very, very kind. All right, and hey, before we jump into this thing, I got to show you the newest addition to the Raiders Fan Radio family. So say hi to Bomber. So this is my new Mastiff. So we named him Bomber in honor of the legendary, of course, Mad Bomber, which is Daryl LaMonica. And so as you watch the show here live or on the Fan Cave, of course, you always see Raider Zeke roaming around, and you're going to see this soon-to-be monster freaking roaming around the Fan Cave as well. So we're happy to welcome in this new guy. All right. Kiltatus, oh my God, puppy! So he's not even 8 weeks old yet. So he's a good boy, and he's going to be a big Raider fan, of course. All right, so let's jump into the Sea Fans mailbag. Enough of us, and more of you and less of us is a good thing. And so we're going to go ahead and kick it off here with the emails. And if you want to email the show, you can email the show at show.
Slower, maybe. Ready?
Okay.
Let me get my pen. Hold on.
You got that?
Spell it out for Animal Mother.
All right, got it.
All right. Show. So that's S.
All right.
H. O. W. Okay. Jeff, did you get that?
Can you say it again? Was there a silent letter in there?
It's S. H. Which one of us is the former student athlete over here?
Sorry, I'm a little slow. The town is back that way.
Yeah, so anyways, SHOW at Raiders Fan Radio. Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Announce that real quick, CPA Joel. Hit the applause button too, buddy.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yeah, there you go. Hit the there you go.
There we go.
Give it up for Pineapple, Joel.
Well, thank you for your $50 donation. That's awesome. For me, that's awesome. I appreciate that. You're awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Pineapple in there with a $50 donation going to the One Nation Foundation. And man, that is so cool. Thank you so very, very much. We appreciate you, my friend. And all right, so more of you, yes, as I said, less of us is a good thing. You got the email address, you got the phone number, 909-345-3346. But let's go ahead and kick it off with the emails. And Michelle has the honor of reading us the emails tonight.
All right, here we go. Salute RFR, salute Nation. Again, salute to the Bills medical team and first responders for providing Damar Hamlin with another chance at life. He is a man first, football player second. The appreciation. Murph, Uncle Mosh, retired. Swag Jeff, and Michelle. First off is to express my gratitude and appreciation for you, your time, and content produced on our favorite football team, the Raiders. This show is great, no joke. Sometimes when laughing, I feel myself gasping for air, especially after Respect segment, when you switch voices, literally to die for. That's my favorite part, too. Thanks for another great season of content. Your efforts do not go unnoticed. The disrespect. That will be the last time the inside of Death Star, the inside of the Death Star looking like that. Oh, okay. I got it. The disrespect. Merry-go-round, ice balls, snow globe. We owe them an ass whooping for that. The disrespect. It felt like ever since Pittsburgh week, the team already packed for Cancun. The disrespect. Carr taking his ball and going home. A captain doesn't abandon his post. The disrespect. Doing DC like that. I know he was crying, just saying there's a better way of doing business. Remember, we are Raiders. The shield speaks for itself. So yeah, let them hate, spend money, and spend their money with us. Be proud, be humble, be calculated, and stay ready for attack. Salutations from the Silver and Black Mac. Raiders. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm with him on the disrespect.
Yeah, man, right? Yeah, no kidding. All right. Next, we have T-Hom. Dear RFR crew, now, before I say what I'm going to say, let me just pass around the box of Kleenex so that all 5 of the Chargers fans and both of the Vikings colors can have something to cry into. It's on to 2023. When it comes to quarterbacks, Stidham is already in-house. Although he is a free agent, Carr is gone. You will still hear some highlights from me about him, referencing episode numbers, but you will not hear me dwell on it. Now, let me say this about Tom Brady. I acknowledge all the great things he has done, and I don't blame him for Walt Coleman's dumbass tuck ruling nearly 2 decades ago. But I have seen the diminishing skills from Brady, just as I saw in Carr this past season. Brady took a team to a record of 8-9 and got destroyed in the playoffs. Obviously, we need to fix the offensive line, but Brady is a statue, and we will get broken in just a couple of games. Bringing in Brady is just another $15 million whiff, in my opinion. And the only thing I will say about Jimmy G is that he would catch the high heel of his shoe on the step getting off the bus and end up on IR right off the bat. I would bring in Jacoby Brissett before I did anything with Jimmy G.
I think that's a sneaky like, possibility there that no one's really talking about a lot. Yeah.
And if you're waiting for 2024 to bring in Caleb Williams, I will just say 2 words: Tim Couch. Stidham stays on to compete as a starter or a backup. If the Raiders could trade for either Mac Jones or Justin Fields, I would do that. No way am I going to jump up and draft a quarterback in the first round and either get no value at all out of the pick this year or throw him in too early and get him destroyed. Reference Derek's older brother David in Houston. There will be quarterbacks available in round 2, and I will remind everyone that Kenny Stabler and Derek Carr were both second-round picks. If Brady comes in, I would still be on board, even though I think it's a mistake and just hope he doesn't get injured. And the first thing I hope that Brady would do is call his buddy Gronk and tell him just to stay home, please. We'll talk more about free agents and draft later. As for now, love you all and stay fresh in all your new Vegas attire that you got over the holidays. Kansas City may have the best record in the division, but the silver and black will be coming for you soon. T-Hom.
Hey, T-Hom.
Hey, spot on. T-Hom.
All right.
Good stuff.
That is. Oh, wait. I already read that one. Sorry. Okay. Paul.
Paul?
Paul. Evening, everybody. Hope
Hello,
you're all
Paul.
well.
Sorry.
Well, that's the end of that for another year. I've always hated the end of the season. No more football for 8 months and all that. But this season has been like a toothache. The most disappointing season I can remember for a long time. We've certainly seen worse teams over the years, but from where this group started, it has to be one of the most disappointing. After last season, we had a good foundation to kick on with, but we seemed hell-bent on dismantling things and making things harder for ourselves as time went on. I admit I've been impatient this year in some areas, but I don't think it was unreasonable to expect more than we ended up with. Devontae Adams and Chandler Jones signed, and we had extensions for Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, and Max Crosby. We were sold the dream that this new coaching staff was full of fresh, exciting ideas. Innovation was the buzzword, and they were the best thing since sliced bread. It seemed we couldn't possibly fail. We were clearly built to win this season. Then we sprinkled some Raiders dust on it, and it pretty much turned to shit. Poor execution, poor roster management, and terrible coaching at times, and in the end, we couldn't get out of our own way. There were bright spots along the way. Devontae Adams is even better than we thought he would be. Max Crosby continues to build his legacy with us, and A.J. Cole, Daniel Carlson, and Trent Sieg have been consistent again this season. Our MVP surely has to go to Josh Jacobs. In another difficult year, he's been exceptional. 1,653 yards, 800 plus after contact, 2,053 all-purpose yards, 12 touchdowns, and 93 first downs. A phenomenal effort, especially after being ignored by the coach for the first month. And to sit alongside Marcus Allen and Clem Daniels as the only other Raiders to win a league rushing title speaks volumes. Take a bow, young man. Now get the money you deserve, hopefully still in Vegas. Yes, hopefully still in Vegas. That was the cheering for.
Yeah.
There's no question that this is the most important draft and free agency period in our recent history. We can expect a lot of changes to play personnel, and the roster will be unrecognizable next season. We still have concerns at quarterback. The O-line wasn't addressed properly all year, and we've been waiting for a decent linebacker group for about 30 years. This has to stop, and this year's draft has to be virtually all defense for me. Whatever happens over the next few months, Ziegler and McDaniels have to hit on at least 80% of their deals. Otherwise, they're not going to see this through. It's not been easy for them so far, and now they've backed themselves into a corner and increased the pressure on themselves tenfold. McDaniels in particular has to get it right, and quickly, because his success window is probably 6 to 8 games next season. We have to be over 500 at least at the midway point, or he could be toast. For that reason, he can't gamble on starting Stidham at quarterback alongside a rookie. He has to go all in on Brady or a Rodgers-type quarterback and draft someone to learn the ropes for a couple of years. Any other decision would be Russian roulette. It still wouldn't take that quarterback in the early rounds, though, if it was up to me. We're now at that time of year when mock draft, speculation, and rumors are the order of the day. We all have our ideas. If it was a perfect world. Sadly, it isn't. If it was, I'd have Sean Payton as our head coach, Lamar Jackson as our quarterback, and I'd be living next door to Jennifer Aniston, and I'd have a Domenico's in my kitchen.
I can make that happen, Paul. The sandwich part.
That's it. Well, there we go, yeah.
I was going to say, you know Jen?
Wow.
I know Jen. We go way back.
Around the league, there are questions that require answers as well. For example, why do people ask Gene Steratore for advice? Great question.
Amen.
Why are people like Patrick Mahomes allowed to procreate? Better question.
Hey, it ain't easy being green.
Will there be a better sight in the playoffs than the Chargers collapsing in such dramatic fashion?
Amen.
Is there...
Hey, if it's not a Raider win, we'll take a divisional implosion, you know?
Yeah, that was nice
Chef's
to
kiss.
see. That was
chef's kiss,
absolute chef's
absolutely.
kiss. Is there oh no. Is there an official medical term for Joey Bosa's face? There has to be. His nose touches his chin and he looks like he was born in a hall of mirrors. That's true. I didn't think that would make sense, but he does.
He does.
Is there really a higher power watching over us? If there is, he or she has to make sure there isn't another Chiefs versus 49ers Super Bowl.
Oh, my gosh.
In closing this week, I'd like to ask you all for prayer, too. It's Chinese New Year this weekend, and it's the year of the rabbit. Please, God, I hope nobody has told Phillip Rivers. His wife will have to add extra locks on the bedroom door again.
Oh, God.
Everybody pray for that woman.
Jeez, Paul.
Stay safe, RFR family. Love you, Raider Nation, and let's go Jacksonville. His Lordship, the Royal Scribe, Paul Edgerton, Shropshire, Mississippi, Polly Award winner 2019 and 2022, Foggy Glasses Award winner 2020, BRT Sizzler scorekeeper, proud made man, five times times two, winner of the Raiders Fan Radio BRT Sizzler.
Oh my gosh, Paul.
Paul.
Paul?
Paul.
Paul?
Paul.
Paul?
Paul, your name Paul?
Paul. Paul.
I met him with Paul.
Who?
Paul.
Paul, yes, Paul.
Paul's not here. Hey, Paul. Paul.
Hi. I'm Paul.
Darn right you are,
Yeah.
Paul. Oh my gosh, it wouldn't be the same without you, my friend. All right, let's. We're gonna get this thing moving here. We're closing in on 2.5 hours here. So although we're off next week, so we're kind of doing the every other week thing. So some of these shows are gonna run a little long because we have a lot to cram into one single show. So anyways, we appreciate all of you that have joined us for the long haul here. Appreciate Paul in the chat room, Kill Jadis, Big Bass Raider, Corey Fleck, Jay Jackson, Hardcore Raider, Lee B. So many of our good friends are in the chat room and appreciate you hanging in. All right, so you can be part of this show 3 different different ways. You can email the show at show@RaidersFanRadio.com. You can jump in the chat room at youtube.com/RaidersFanRadio, or you can call the show at 909-345-3346. That's 909-345-3346. And you can leave us a voicemail. And if you leave us a voicemail 3 or more times or 5 times, as one of our folks had to do this week, then you can become the next made man or made woman. And hey, do us a favor. So first off, please call the show. We'd love to get your voicemails. Hit that number. It's 24/7. You can call it anytime. Leave us your name. So the kicking off the segment here, actually, or after the guy that's going to kick off the segment, we had one of our really familiar voices. I don't know who it was, though. He said, hey, it's been a long time, and I recognize the voice, but I don't recognize what your name is because you didn't tell us. So please tell us your name when you call, and we appreciate all of you that have called us over these past couple weeks. First off, though, we're going to kick it off. We're going to lead off the segment with a good buddy Mojo. So this is now twice in a row he's let off this segment. Mojo is bringing it, man. I love, we just love Mojo anyways. Him and his lovely wife, Libby, just in real life. But his Raider takes are freaking on point. And so let's check in with our good friend Mojo as he leads off the voicemail segment.
Murph, Mosh, Swaggy J, Michelle, made men and women, your boy Mojo. Oh, I wanted to give a special hello. I know you're listening. My man, Lamont, man, my brother from another mother, man. Just wanted to say what's up. Hey, listen, I just wanted to call, man. The season's over. Was doing some contemplating, some thinking, and I want to make some, make a couple predictions here, guys. We're obviously going to sign a quarterback in the off season. A lot of people are saying Brady. Now some people are saying Aaron Rodgers, Garoppolo. There's a lot of guys on the table. What do you think, Raider Nation? Who are we bringing in, man? I want to hear what everybody thinks. And the other thing I wanted to address is Josh Jacobs isn't going anywhere, people. We're either going to pay Josh Jacobs, or we're going to franchise tag him. And I think franchise tagging him is probably the most economical way to go about this next year. So you tag him with a franchise, you pay less than what he's going to take in the market, by a couple mil. I think his market's probably 17, 18 million. Correct me if I'm wrong, Murph. And I think we can get him we franchise tag him somewhere at 15 or 16. So wherever we can save, that's just more help that we're going to give Max on the defensive side there, and more money we can spend on the offensive line, which are, obviously we need a lot of help in both of those units, right? The other thing I want to say is, listen, people, Davante Adams he's not going anywhere.
Amen.
Davante Adams will be a Raider next year. Mark my words. It's called $140 million over 5 years. Yeah, he can sit out, but listen, Davante Adams is working on a Hall of Fame career. You think he wants to sit out? And what if we call his bluff and we don't do anything about it? We don't trade him. Then he's going to miss an entire year of numbers. Stop. That's not what's going to happen. Anyway, I don't want to get too close to my time limit. Everybody stay cool, man. Enjoy the off season. Let's all just love each other, Raider Nation. The Derek Carr thing's behind us, man. Let's just all be fans again, man. We don't have to hate each other. Just win, baby. Mojo out.
All right, there it is. Excellent message from our buddy Mojo. Appreciate you, Mojo, and absolutely, man. Let's just freaking we all root for the same team, like literally. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, appreciate you, Mojo, as always with a great call. So he asked about Josh Jacobs. John Leon in there says franchise tag for $12 million. It was. Now they've updated the numbers. It's down to $10 million for Josh Jacobs. That's a slam dunk, man. Yeah. That's an absolute slam dunk. But it was, and I talked about this in Silver and Black today. It was 12 for a hot minute, and even if it was 12. It's still a slam dunk. You know what I mean? Like, that's still easy enough for the Raiders to do. All right, next up, let's check in with our buddy down in the 805. That's in Animal Mother's area, right? Ventura, like that whole kind of area,
County,
right?
Santa Barbara, yeah.
There you go. All right, so let's go ahead and check in with our caller down in the 805.
Murph, Swag Jeff, Michelle Sweat, Uncle Mosh. Hey, man, it's been a while since I called. I know it was the Colts game. Just want to say, glad the season's over. Glad it ended the way it did. Stidham is not the guy. I was at the game. been at every game. Like, it's just not going to happen. How do you not understand? How do you not get that the Chiefs were going to prepare for the same game plan you ran against the 49ers? How does that happen? They literally, you have the number one rushing running back in the league. They stacked the box to stop him. You still can. Stidham's not the guy. That's all I want to say. Looking forward to the future. Hey, I'm glad that everything happened the way it did. Derek Carr could finally move on. We can move on, finally. And this is it. Invest in the defense, right? Invest in the O-line. Bring in somebody. At this point, man, look, I don't care what Raider Nation says, man. If Tom Brady comes in and he wants $30 million, $25 million, he wants a contract that's going to let us build up the defense. We got what we got, man. We got Waller. We bring back Jacobs. We got Renfro. Bring him back. I like Matt Collins. Bring him back. Either way, man, I'm glad the way it ended the way it did because you know what? At least you know that Stidham's not the guy. Hey, much love to all you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Love y'all. Peace out.
All right, here we go. Appreciate you. So real quick before we jump into the next call, let me ask you, Jeff. Stidham, I don't think he's the guy either, but does he need to be if we bump up the defense and the offensive line like you were talking about earlier?
Well, I think the sample size is too small. I mean, 2 games. I mean, that's what I was worried about after he had a good game against the Niners. We didn't win, but everyone was like, "Oh man, look at Stidham. He looks great." I was like, "He's had 1 game. Like, let's not jump the gun here." And you saw with the Chiefs saw his tape. They saw the game plan. He just needs more time. I think he can be the bridge. I don't think he's the guy, but you give him a good defense and a better offensive line. You don't know until you put him in that situation.
Absolutely.
So I think you just got to see. You got to bump up those other two areas of the team and see. Then you got more options back there.
Absolutely. Well, and they can sign him for relatively cheap too, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
everything.
He's a free agent right now. You sign him to a 2-year deal. He's a super cheap option for the team, and then they can just freaking blow it out everywhere else. And again, it sounds like pie in the sky, but there is a real life scenario where Marcus Peters and Jalen Ramsey and Nate Hobbs are our 3 starting corners, which is like, you know what I mean? I thought Marcus Peters is an Oakland guy. Like, that's been like a dream signing for the Raiders for a long time.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
dude's going to be ready to get on his 4th team. Like, come on, man, let's make that happen. All right, let's go down to Texas and check in with our good buddy, the Raider Critique.
Murph, Swaggy, Michelle, it's the Raider Critique, man. And, well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it seems like my hypothesis was correct. Jared Stidham really isn't that good of a quarterback. And we're definitely a lot further away than just one quarterback from being able to compete.
There you go.
We've got massive problems on the offensive line, but I'm sure I'm not telling you guys anything you don't already know. And we also have mad secondary issues when it comes to the defense and no depth at linebacker. Regardless of which way this plays out, whether we get that certain quarterback that nobody wants to talk about or not, which I think would actually be a huge mistake because he's going to cost too damn much anyway. What's the point of bringing a guy in here like that who literally gets all the flags thrown for him when we are a team who is used to having the flags thrown against us? You know, I just feel like that if we wind up getting that guy, we're going to be given a championship and it won't be earned. And that
I'm okay with that.
Hey, off season's here. We finished 6-11, and we completely shit the bed. Josh McDaniels is every bit of the clown that we all took him to be. And really, in all actuality, I know that we're not going to get rid of him because, you know, Mark Davis got his hands tied when it comes to the coaching and how much money he's done spent. So in all actuality, everybody, hey, I appreciate you guys for putting me on. I'm a proud made man, but I damn sure am not proud of what this team has done this year, and I hope that we can turn it around for next season. And we better not go and get Tom Brady.
The Raider Critique, man. Always love the passion behind his calls, man. Good stuff there. All right, next up, let's check in with, I get called out a little bit here. Yeah, this is
Oh.
Mrs. OG Daniel, and yeah, she's got something to say about her getting on the show.
Hey, Michelle. Swag. Oh, yeah. And that other guy. It's Mrs. OG. Chronicles of the Black Hole. So technically, this is my 5th call. I call, and then there's no show, and Jeff gets all excited and says, Mrs. OG, you need to call one more time. Why? What we need here is some consistency. I'm throwing touchdown passes, and they keep getting called back by the refs at RFR. So we have a serious QB situation. Stidham shit the bet against the Chiefs. And did you see Tom Brady's performance last night? Are you sure you want that guy? Or we can always get Jimmy G, king of the IR. Our season is over, and now we go make adjustments. And speaking of adjustments, I say we need a Sweetest F-Bomb award in the fannies. Right, Michelle? Done. 5 calls. Just make me already. Go Raiders.
There she is, Mrs. OG. Love it. Hey, all right, well, and she's not wrong. She's not wrong. And it was funny, and Daniel sent me a message. He goes, listen, you're really pissing my wife off with your guys' scheduling. She keeps calling every week that you guys are off. So, hey, well, so without further ado, let's welcome to the family. Let's welcome to her seat at the table and welcome the newest made woman here at Raiders Fan Radio, and welcome Miss OG, Chronicles of the Black Hole.
This made woman is loyal, blustering in our fan mail. Mess with her, I would deter. She'll kick you right in your tail. Her face is always game ready, painted in silver and black. She is loyal to the Raider Nation. She always has our back. She cheers as she storms our podcast, a fan no prouder or bold. And here on Raiders Fan Radio, her fandom is as valued as gold. This made woman is a Raider, a fierce and loyal fan. She's out here yelling and clearly telling she can kick ass as good as a man.
All right, there she is, Mrs. OG, Chronicles of the Black Hole. Congratulations, you are the newest made woman. So that's 7, I believe, now? Made women that we'd have? Yeah, I believe we have. And yeah, so that's awesome, man. So we appreciate you, and the more the merrier. So keep calling.
Right.
And for anybody that wants to become a made man or a made woman, just call, leave a message 3 or 5 times, and you can become the next one. All right, so let's check in with made man down in Alabama. This is our buddy Josh down in the 703.
What's up, fam? First off, the Carr is officially over, so I just want to thank Carr for the 9 years that he gave to his team, for giving me the only hope I've really had as a Raiders fan. You know, I'm 33 years old. Most of my life, the Raiders ain't been, you know, you hear a lot about the great times of the Raiders. I have to watch them on NFL films. And you know, I know the Tuck rule and the failed Super Bowl. And then the cluster that we went through after that. And, you know, I remember, you know, 2014, we got Carr, we got Mac, got Amari Cooper the next year. Actually had hope as a Raider fan. But, you know, that time's over. I'm not going to get into this. Now the Carr stands and the Carr haters, Carr bashing, dashings, all that bullshit, like, I thought we'd grown ups, but I don't know. People fight and argue like children. So, you know, to Derek Carr, thank you for what he did. Salud.
Salud.
That's what I'll see. First, big thing,
Okay.
you know, we got to improve this defense. I need them to go out there, get some guys, especially in the secondary. We got to build this defense because it needs help. I know big thing everyone's talking about quarterback. Tom Brady needs to go home. I want to see him with the Raiders. Everyone knows how I feel about that. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's a downgrade from Carr. Never believed in that guy. I know some people are talking about Lamar Jackson. I don't know how Lamar Jackson would do with Josh Daniels' scheme, and I just can't see the Ravens letting him go. Hopefully we can get, if Carr does agree to a trade, hopefully we can get some draft capital from him. I don't think we're going to get much, but, something's better than nothing. And so I'm really kind of just pinning my hopes quarterback-wise on a rookie. And you have Jared Stidham there to kind of help show him how the system goes. But I don't look at Stidham and go, yeah, that's my future. So I think I know everyone's kind of Bryce Young's going to go right off the rip. I'm not worried about him. His frame and size that to me is a concern because look at Kyler Murray gets hit too many times and all of a sudden the guys can't play no more.
Google Voice. All right, so if you run up against the 3-minute mark, then you get Google Voice there, like our buddy Josh down in the 703. But you know what? It's the off season. We only got one more call to get to after Josh, so I'll extend you because normally if you get Google Voice, you don't get to call back and play it, and you don't get to count for the Sizzler award. So, but Josh, we'll go ahead. You don't get to count for the Sizzler, but we'll at least give you the second half of your call because we appreciate you, and we always love the way you end your calls.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to dismiss that for sure. So let's go ahead and check in with the rest of Josh's call.
Obviously, I just got cut off.
Yeah, because you went past 3 minutes.
Will Levi's hooker guys, I think y'all mentioned him. Y'all said he has an arm. I think, though, if this team is serious, like if these guys are serious about trying to go, if we're about winning, then, you take your shot with a guy, you go press for C.J. Stroud. Is he the guy that we're looking for? Like I said,
nope.
Bryce Young he's going to be gone right off the rip because I know that he's the hot commodity. But just the rest of these other guys, I'm just not sure about. I know. So C.J. Stroud looks to me like the only viable one. Especially if you're looking for not a runner like Lamar Jackson, but an athletic quarterback that can move around. He's not going to, look to run first. He's looking to throw and everything. So, I don't know. We'll have to see. It's going to be an off-season that just, the hopes were playoffs. Hopes were higher than what they were. And, man, it was a disappointment. I mean, I think we all say it was a disappointment. It's not what we envisioned at the beginning of the year. We were all hyped up. I know I was.
That was the hardest part. We all had the biggest of expectations.
I hope that now we stop with the whole detractor, the whole division in Raider Nation. I know Hondo Carpenter came out with an article, and it actually was a pretty good article. It seemed like a lot of people were trying to say it was, against Carr. Some people were like, it's, all Josh Daniels could do no wrong, and it was all on Carr. And then I read it, and, you look at it objectively, you were like, yeah, I see that. Like I said, to me, Carr's still a good quarterback. He had a bad year. But, like they say, not for long is the league, and he's not with the Raiders anymore. And I just, Jared Stidham didn't get me excited. I know that you said, Murph, that, yeah, we lost, but it felt different when we lost. We still lost. Like, I don't care if the shit felt differently. You fucking lost. So we got to go out there. We got to win. We got to make the right move.
Not wrong.
So we're going to see how all that goes. I love y'all. Raider Nation for life as always. And, man, you if you ain't a Raider.
There he is. Josh down in the 703. All right, one more to get to before we get out of here for the night. Let's check in with our buddy Cody, Cool Cody, down there in Vegas.
Hey, this is Cody Thompson, a.k.a. Cool Cody. And I'm calling in just now that Carr's done. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Go get Rodgers.
There he is. Done and done. Like Jim Rome used to say, get in, get out, and don't suck.
Yeah.
There you go. Go get Rodgers, man. So we appreciate Cool Cody. All right, so for all the voicemails and emails of the night, we award a Sizzler Award. That is to the best of the emails and voicemails. And normally, Jeff would do that, but in Jeff's absence, it's going to go to Michelle Sweat. Yeah. So Michelle, who do we have tonight? Who is the best of the best?
Okay, so there was a lot of really great calls, great emails. You could really hear everybody's like passion and disappointment, really came through. But listen, I gotta go with Mrs. OG Daniel because she had determination. She was gonna get made, and she was not playing around. So that's who I'm going with.
Awesome.
I am the Sizzler.
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 We are Metallica, and we are here for your Oakland Raiders!
You know why we out here, and we ain't playing around today.
From The Walking Dead to errant Jedi Knights, Raiders fans are a rogues gallery.
Hee-haw. Buy a football. We have cool footballs.
Little footballs.
So, hey, if you're wondering why there's such a sense of urgency around this, I'm going to leave you with some depressing numbers, Raider Nation, before we check out of here for the night. Because if anything, if we have entertained you for 3 hours, that's awesome. But now we want to send you home depressed. Raiders by the numbers. This comes via our good friends over at Raider Posts. 42 years since the Raiders had a road playoff win.
Go.
39 years since the Raiders won the Super Bowl. 20 years since we last won a playoff game. 20 years since we last won an AFC West title. 20 years since we had a top 10 defense or top 15 defense. 12 years since we last returned a kick for a touchdown. 12 head coaches in the last 20 years. And in the last 20 years, we've had 2, not 3, 2 winning seasons.
Damn, Murph.
We deserve better.
Yeah, we do. There you go. Oh, man.
Oh, there you go. So appreciate all of you checking us out here tonight. Glad to depress you on the way out the door. Don't forget to tip your servers, but we appreciate you, Raider Nation, for checking in for this episode of Raiders Fan Radio, episode number 279. I'll leave it to Michelle to just go ahead and shout out the chat, but I just want to thank all 3 of you tonight. Y'all were awesome. The QB Jeff always killing it with the insight and the analysis on everything. Appreciate it. Appreciate Michelle. Appreciate your takes on everything. As always, the passion that you bring to Raider Nation. And how about CPA Joel stepping in last minute to step in for Swaggo and did a great job over there on the buttons and everything. The guy had never even seen our soundboards before.
Did great.
And he's all over it. So appreciate you, CPA Joel. Michelle, go ahead and take us on out.
All right, so in the chat, we got Hardcore Raider, Tita's in there, Pineapple's in there, Berendo Ball Bomber. That's a new name I've not heard. Kiljadis is in there. Paul. I said Hardcore Raider. Lee B's in there. A lot of the regulars in there. Guys, Murph just hit us with some really sad stuff, and guess what? You get to stew on it for the next 2 weeks. So, man, that was some bummer shit.
That's some bummer shit, man.
I mean, that's all I got to say about that.
That's what we're dealing with, though.
Hey, but guess what? Y'all get to see us in 2 weeks. So.
Absolutely. We'll be back. CPA Joel, any words on the way out?
Hey, thank you guys for everything you're doing for the foundation. Thank you for making me part of the club. And I look forward to a good Raiders offseason and a better next season.
Amen, dude.
That's
Amen.
right.
Show them that football one more time. We're taking your bids. Show at RaidersFanRadio.com. Make it more than $2,500.
Yeah, man.
That thing
beautiful.
is super slick. QB Jeff, shout out the business, shout out the podcast. Anything else you got going on?
Yeah, appreciate it, Murph. Thanks for having me on. And if you want any good college football content, Group of Five Guys at Group of Five Guys on all the social media. We're on YouTube as well. We're in our off season as well, so our show's every other week. We interview coaches. We'll be down at the Senior Bowl, so anybody down in Mobile, Alabama, reach out, shoot me a direct message. We'd love to meet anybody that's going to go to that thing. And if you're in Alameda or Murfreesboro, Tennessee, Domenico's Italian down there.
Yeah, let's go.
I'll take care of you.
Best sandwiches on the planet right there. All right, Raider Nation, we love you guys very much. Everybody in the chat, everybody that interacts with you each and every week, everybody on the Twitters, even though you pendejos and you haters and all that good stuff, we still love you, man, and appreciate you supporting Raiders Fan Radio. I guess, as Mosh would say, adios, malingerers. Get out YouTube.